So this is the Town of Yucca Valley Council meeting, February 18th, 2025. And we'll call the meeting to order at 5:03 p.m. So let's start with roll call.
Council members Abel.
Here.
Dennison.
Here.
Lombardo.
Here.
Schooler.
Here.
And Mayor Droz.
Here. And did I get the date wrong? I was on the wrong page. Anyway, so let's go from there. What is the date today? It's the 18th, March 18th. So let's do the Pledge of Allegiance and let me do that. So let's start that. So ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Stay standing. We now have our invocation by Pastor Daniel Hanna, Crestview Bible Church.
I don't see him either.
Okay, I guess we'll skip that. So we'll go to presentations, introductions, and recognitions. Is there anything with that? There's no presentation.
None this evening, Mayor.
Okay. Approval of agenda. So does any council member want to approve the agenda?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as prepared.
Second.
Council members Abel.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Schooler.
Yes.
And Mayor Droz.
Yes. Now we have the consent agenda. So this is previous meetings. Everything's pretty routine. Unless somebody wants to, let's see, from the public, does anybody want to comment or discuss an item on the consent agenda? No one online? Okay. Town council, anybody want to pull anything and talk about it or just approve it?
Mayor, I'll go ahead and approve if there's no request from the council.
I'll second.
Council members Abel.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Schooler.
Yes.
And Mayor Droz.
Yes. So let's go to department reports. And we have item number 6, Public Art Town West Entrance Monument Signage Workshop and Selection. This should be fun.
Good evening, Mayor Droz and council members. This is an exciting public art item that's been making its way through the town's Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission. So this is phase 1 of the West Entrance Monument signage. This is the conceptual design phase for the proposed entryway monument. So although this is slated as a department report, we've structured it in a workshop format to provide a little more flexibility for interaction and council discussions. So it may feel a little bit different than the standard staff report. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Recreation Supervisor Clayton Reardon to make the report.
Right. Mayor, Council, the item before you tonight is the West Entrance Monument sign. So this is phase 1, conceptual design. The recommendation is that the Town Council review the recommendation of the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission for phase 1 and choose one submission as a final design selection. Alternatively, the council can review the recommendation of the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission and continue the final selection into the next meeting to allow for council reflection and review. The PowerPoint for the... No? Okay. All right. So a little background for the West Entrance Monument sign. At its meeting on February 20th in 2024, the council received a staff report on the presentation and presentation on the beautification for town, highlighting the town's entrance signage. That you were presented with a few different options. Existing sign refurbishment, so taking the sign that's already on the west end of town and rehabilitating that. Less expensive, shorter process. The next option was new entry monument development, an entirely new sign at a new location. Another one was town branding and development. This is going out and coordinating with economic development, working with community development for an entirely new sign, multiple focus. We're much bigger budget, much longer process, and then the biggest package that was presented to you was full wayfinding and monumentation throughout town. The council at that time selected a hybrid of options 2 and 3. So something where we engage with the local community through public art and take those submissions and get conceptual design and then go out in a phase 2 for monument construction, design, installation of the final product. So what we have tonight is that phase 1 conceptual design, and it's been run through the public art program and has been back and forth between the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Commission and staff several times. So the location for the monument sign, staff determined that the location on the southeast corner of Camino del Cielo and Highway 62 was the ideal spot. So there's a nice bulb, it's already town-owned property, it's already elevated a bit above the highway, and it's on the right-hand side for drivers, for anybody coming into town. There's a stoplight there, there's enough room to build a pullout, room for people to get out of the car, potentially take selfies with the sign. It checked all those boxes for a location. So the southwest corner of Camino del Cielo and 62, the staff moved forward, developed a call for artists. So on June 12th, the PRCC reviewed the call, all the details, the limitations, and identified their priorities in the call for art, and that was released for 8 weeks from June 17th until August 12th. That call for art resulted in 23 submissions, which went to the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Commission, and they narrowed that down to 5. So we proceeded with a public comment period that was open from September 12th to October 24th. The PRCC reviewed 304 public comments. So this is, for comparison, most of our public art programs, we generate about 15 to 30 public comments for most of the art that we, when we publicize the public comment period for these programs, easily 10 times that. The public comments were reviewed by the PRCC at their December 11th meeting. They reaffirmed their 5 selections for the town council's review, and they forwarded that recommendation. And that's what we have before you today. Our call for artists, the design criteria that we sent out, the theme that we asked for was something that reflects Yucca Valley's unique characteristics, the natural landscape, community values, cultural heritage. We also asked that they take into consider the town's selected location, the southwest corner of Camino del Cielo and 62. So encourage them to understand the site, understand the traffic, understand that location, and the limitations that might pose. We reminded people that this is a conceptual design, so identifying specific materials that may or may not be appropriate in actual construction would ultimately be handled during phase 2. So we said phase 1 is conceptual design only, construction material will be determined in phase 2. And then make sure it's appropriately scaled for visibility from the road, considering pedestrian and vehicular traffic with general proportions. Maximum height of the monument is 8 feet, maximum width is 12 feet. So there was a 12-foot high by 8-foot wide limitation for the monument. The integration for the design should harmonize with the immediately surrounding environment for that location. So, let's see, jump forward just a bit. The PRCC took the 23 submissions and ranked them. The top 5, there was a natural break in scoring at the top 5, and they chose to forward all 5 of those. Christopher Filosi was, had the highest ranking from the PRCC, followed by Corey Hamilton, Catherine Iblings, David Irwin, and Gina Pliss. Let's see. We're having some technical difficulties with my PowerPoint presentation, so I have a few slides that I wanted to touch on really fast. Can we move on to the artists?
Clay, what you can do, if it's okay with you, we could take a 5-minute recess to make sure that they can get their presentation loaded.
Yeah,
Yes, I love recess.
okay, sorry about that.
I always have.
All right. So we were talking about the call for artists. These were the design element, or the design criteria for the West Entrance Monument sign. Ultimately reflecting Yucca Valley's cultural heritage, unique characteristics, and that location, staff identified a maximum monument size of 8 feet high by 12 feet wide, and making sure that that installation, that the submissions integrate with the surrounding natural environment. This was the selection process of the 23 submitted to the PRCC. They narrowed it down to 5 and underwent a 9-week public comment period. We mentioned the 304 public comments. And in addition to just the responses, we asked that each of the 5 submissions be scored by the public in a way that let's see. I strongly agree, I agree, I neither agree nor disagree, I disagree, and then I strongly disagree. So for each of the submissions, all 304 people that provided public feedback gave some kind of indication on how they thought the submission matched up to Yucca Valley's landscape, its cultural heritage, local spirit, community values, and overall, whether they agreed with or disagreed with, whether they were personally satisfied with the design. So what you see in each of these graphs is the blue line is strongly agree, all the way across to the purple is I strongly disagree. So we have that for each of the slides. This is Christopher Filosi. He had the #1 ranking by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission, followed by Corey Hamilton. 3rd was Catherine Iblings, and 4th was David Irwin. 5th was Gina Pliss. So Christopher Filosi's, the images he submitted for his artwork along with the scores. Corey Hamilton's. Catherine Iblings. David Irwin. And Gina Pliss. So again, the recommendation before you this evening is that the council review the recommendation of the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission for Phase 1 and choose 1 submission as the final design selection. As an alternative recommendation, the council can choose to continue the final selection to the next meeting to allow for reflection and review. I'm happy to answer any questions following public comment. We wanted to structure this. The PRCC had recommended and the council had previously asked for a workshop. So we've invited each of the artists to come out tonight. They'll have 5 minutes to discuss and describe and present their submissions, at which time we estimated about 5 minutes for council members, Q&A for that artist. We'll go through all 5 submissions, and then we'll open for public comment at the end. So at this time, I'd like to
Perhaps we
Chair.
could, yes.
And we also have Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission Chair Brady here to provide a little bit of background on that process. And then if you have any questions for him about any of the multiple times, the 3 or 4 times that we've met on this item.
Thank you. Thank you, Clayton. Good evening, Mayor Drozd and council members. The PRCC, we're the commission that has all the fun. You can ask the planning commission, they don't have as much fun as we do. I'm happy to be here tonight as you consider these amazing designs for the town's west entrance monument sign. On behalf of the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission, I want to thank all 23 artists who submitted designs for this call for artists. One thing I've noticed in the public art program, so many different artists are submitting amazing things, and even though they might not get selected the first time, we always encourage, keep applying for the different things. So it was exciting to see so much talent and such beautiful and imaginative concepts. Clayton outlined the process for review, ranking, and public input. One thing I did want to share on the public input that I had noticed and a couple other members had noticed was during the public input, there was some stuff on Facebook where people thought they were voting for the certain thing. So it kind of looked like it got a little weird where people thought they were voting for it, where it's like, no, just give us your thoughts. It's going to come to the council. So just want to make sure you guys knew that. And although it was hard, the commission narrowed the field down to our top 5 for your consideration. I want to clarify, usually what we do is we select one and it goes to you guys, and then you either are like, yeah, that's a great selection, and you move it forward. But for this, those are for the temporary pieces, like the utility boxes, the library art. This one's gonna be a little more permanent. It's gonna be there for a little while, so you guys get the fun of selecting. We give you 5 options that we thought were the best, but we wanted you to see them all. So we narrowed it to the top 5. We enjoyed working on this project, and we're very excited to see it moving forward. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. No questions, I'm gonna run.
All right. I'd like to invite Christopher Filosi up to present. He'll have 5 minutes to discuss, and then estimated 5 minutes of Q&A afterwards. If you want to click through your packet, you have your entire packet up here, so you can go through your resume. Yeah, and your images as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's neat. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Christopher Filosi, and I've worked collaboratively with my dad, David Filosi, to design this monument. Our concept meets all the criteria outlined in the town's call for art, and we believe it truly honors the town by reflecting its culture, history, beauty, and spirit. Our design features 2 large limestone blocks, carved to resemble our native boulders. On the left, a large Native American style pot is carved from the stone, honoring the rich Native American heritage of our area. On the right, a larger-than-life cowboy hat and gold pan symbolize the mining, ranching, and equestrian history that our town was built on. These elements will be made from Corten steel, which will create a striking contrast against the light-colored limestone. The scale of these features will not only attract attention from drivers, but also evoke a sense of awe and significance in the viewer. At the center of the monument, the sign body itself will be made from Corten steel. The words Yucca Valley will be mounted on and spaced away from this primary steel structure. These letters will either have a different patina or be made from stainless steel so that they create a little bit more contrast and stand out from the sign body. Cut out of the steel are the shapes of a Joshua tree, a yucca plant, which is stylized after our town logo, the moon, and stars. Multiple layers of steel will form a horizon line resembling our valley's landscape. These elements, including the lettering, are designed with backlighting in mind to create a stunning and noticeable effect both during the day and at night. Both locals and visitors alike treasure and our beautiful night sky. Many people come here for the sole purpose of stargazing. Throughout the monument, there will be a variety of local wildlife, designed and placed to reflect movement and interaction, inviting visitors to engage with the sculpture. One thing that anyone who lives here can relate to is the beauty of seeing all of our wildlife interacting with each other up against our picturesque landscape. It's like a living work of art that's constantly changing. I think it's one of the most important things about our community, and it's something that brings us all together. And my dad and I wanted to capture the essence of this, giving something that the locals in our town will be proud of, and something that the visitors in our town can look forward. They can see all the things that they can look forward to seeing while they're in Yucca Valley. Do you guys have the packets that I gave you? Little.
Yes.
If you'd please take a look at the first photo that I provided. It's this one here. That's just to clarify what I mean when I say multiple layers of steel to create the horizon line. That's not exactly how it would look, but I just want you to see that effect. The second photo, which is the blue version of this, I can put it on the, oops. This is the nighttime rendition of the piece. It shows how it would appear at night, illuminated from various angles with light. Notice the subtle lighting enhances the forms and adds a significant drama to the overall composition. I've also included some other photos of my dad's large-scale local installations in town. One's at the Yucca Valley Transit Center and the others on Turtle Island and Joshua Tree. These pieces highlight our ability to create designs that can be transformed into tangible, impactful art. This project plays a key role in shaping our town's brand, and when it comes to doing something so significant, experience truly makes all the difference. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Really quick, so how should we handle this? Should he answer questions from the public first, or how should we handle this? Or at all?
Go ahead.
So at the end of every artist's presentation, you'll have about 5 minutes for Q&A. Once we go through all the artists, then we'll circle back around to public comment so that we're not trying to have public comment 5 separate times.
Okay,
Right. So Q&A meaning between the artist and the
Oh,
council.
sorry, yeah.
yes.
There you go.
So does any council member have any questions or comments?
This first round is conceptualized, and this wouldn't be the final finished product, right?
That's correct. As you noticed in my description, I reference a lot of materials. When you're designing a piece of artwork, you're not just making something that looks pretty on paper. You're planning out in your head how it's actually going to fit together so that you can actually translate what you do on paper into reality. So material isn't just color, it's texture and how people interact with it. It's hard to separate the two, so that's why I included the material in my description. So certain things might change depending on the town's ultimate budget or certain details like that.
Sure. I do like the concept of metal and stone, very permanent materials. You have a good history in the town of objects that have been made by either you and your father or your father, and they have shown to be permanent pieces that are lasting and well-constructed. So I do like what I see. I'm a little concerned about the contrast between the lettering and you know, that sort of thing fading into the, but I'm sure when you get more into it, you will find a way to do it. How are you planning to light it? Would it be with solar type powered lights, or would it be electrically connected to the grid?
It could be either. It depends on what the town, I would imagine they'd have power there at some point, but solar lights would also do the trick. I'd want lights behind the piece to illuminate those Joshua Tree, the stars, the moon, the yucca plant. That way people coming into town, they're going to see those illuminated images at night. I also want strategic lighting coming up underneath the cowboy hat shining on the gold pan, illuminating each animal differently and subtly, and also showing the, all of that definition in the stone and all that texture. It's going to look phenomenal and hit you in your gut when you drive by it. So,
Right. Are you concerned at all about the location of the site that we have right next to the corner there on Del Cielo, and how the construction that's going on the lot to the east might or might not interfere with the visual?
Not really. I think that the spot you guys picked is really good. I think if you pushed it back any more into town, it's kind of loses that introductory welcome to Yucca Valley impact. A piece like this is going to be so significant, and I don't think people are going to get distracted by something that's behind it. I think they're going to want to get up closer and take a look. And subtle things like the angle, how close it is to the road, how high it is on that berm, all of those things are factors that we take into consideration when the piece is actually being built. And furthermore, like I said, the lettering of the sign, and even how the animals are spaced out and the patina that they have, those are all things that can be altered to create some heightened contrast and more visibility.
You'd be open to the idea of moving the animals or the objects in more of a three-dimensional?
That is the intended.
And what's the physical size that you're envisioning here? Is it going to be using the full 8 feet by 12 feet?
The dimension is 8 feet by 12 feet. That's the dimension that the drawing's drawn to. So I would make it as big as possible for that spot.
Because it looks more like an 8 foot by 8 foot. I think a wider stance would be
Measured by
enhancing to it.
measured by width, it's 8 to 12.
Okay,
I could see maybe the image got shrunk interestingly, but that's how I drew it.
okay. All right, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I want to say off, first of all, for every artist, first of all, to be selected out of all those entries and being 5 selected, it's quite an honor to what you put forth to us. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate the Park and Recreation and Cultural Commission for narrowing it down. I am very much in agreement to move forward with something either today or in the next council meeting, but I do like having our logo in the art that I see. So this one has our Yucca, so it does identify with our town. And also I wanted to say to all the artists, just like being a politician, sometimes it's hard, you get critiqued and you get perhaps some ruthless comments through the process of what they don't like about it and so forth. But as you know, it's subjective, right? I do agree with our council member here. We need to make sure we have something that's substantial. We've had a couple public art projects that sort of get lost, and we don't need that. We also need something that's easily identified as Yucca Valley. So my biggest concern, I love the Native American approach to it. I love the different animals. I mean, that's what we're known for, and I think that really captures it, and I can see why PRCC gravitated towards it. It's the scale I have a problem with. And again, it doesn't look like an 8 by 12. If I were having you commission that for my home or something, I would ask you, to stretch it out to where Yucca Valley is more prominent. It feels really boxed in and close with the boulders there. So again, it's a picture, but before I make a final selection, I would need to know if the artist is, because we're going to have to construct it. We're going to have to work with artists or somebody else to be able to put it up. If they're adaptable for any of the artists to making some subtle or some changes to the art. So in other words, if you're going to be producing this for me, I'd say, I love it, I like the idea, but I need it stretched out. I need Yucca Valley sort of by itself within that. And to me, it looks, like you said, sort of boxy and sort of a cube. And I don't, the other thing is, I would think this would really look good, and I'm starting to move back towards having our sign back where our original sign is located now, because it's a little darker area, and I like how you have the illumination. And I think in that area, coming first into town, and you see this illuminated Yucca Valley sign we already have that location, we already have some disturbed land there. If we can work with the property owner in moving and updating our sign on that same location, I think this would fit really well in that particular spot. Also, that area's been disturbed, so maybe the dimensions of 8 by 12 can be adjusted accordingly. You know our present sign up there and how dated and old it is. We have to get it removed if we're going to do a new one. But I can see this being in that location, our original location of our sign.
I think that spot's amazing. It was my impression that that wasn't on the table because it was owned by someone else, but I think that would be great. I think the dimension issues that you might have might be misinterpretations of how I drew objects closer. Notice the tortoise and that boulder. In my mind, those are spaced out a little bit, creating that 3D feel. If you look at the bottom line where the rabbit is, measuring up to the top of the dome, I believe that was 8 inches when I drew it, and then the width of the sculpture was 12 inches. Those are all things that can be very easily changed.
And again, like I said, if we have some parameters where the boulders can be moved out a little bit, maybe it's not 12, maybe it's 13 or 14 or something like that.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, I think that would give us a little bit more visibility. And again, that first location where it's sort of dark and it's by itself, it doesn't get lost in a commercial gas station and doesn't get lost in the lights of the intersection. You know, it is a standalone, and it's like, welcome to Yucca Valley, and boom, you hit something right there. I think that would stand out very well. So thank you for the input.
Thank you for the questions.
Can I add just one little bit?
Go ahead.
The old sign has stonework done by Frank Garsky, who was a local resident and a very well-known stone sculptor. And it might adapt itself as a base for something to be put on top of, and I don't know if it would necessarily work.
My
but
dad was good friends with Frank, and
know.
we've been trying to get
I
pieces
don't
of
wanna
marble
dis-
from his property for a long time, but his son won't give them up, so.
Yeah, I don't want to destroy the existing sign.
It's possible that
treasure.
things like that might be able to be repurposed. I'd have to see the site. It's possible that it having some added height would be good.
Yeah, and again, that might be reasons why we won't make a decision tonight, where we'll let staff marinate on our input and come back at the next meeting, perhaps.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Councilmember Schooler, you want to go next?
Sure. I had the same reaction regarding the dimensions. I really like the day and night difference on this piece. And the dimensions, it does look like more of a square from here, but that's already been addressed. I like the lighting, the concept of the lighting that's proposed in there, and the different look from day to night. Christopher, can you give us an idea of the depth of it from back to front, what that dimension would be?
Off the top of my head, just how I designed it in my head, maybe about 3 or 4 feet. And that's not accounting for certain things that might be spaced out from that, as we previously discussed, like some of the animals and boulders. But that kind of gets more into the technical stage 2 of the project, so.
Right, okay. Well, I would have to go do a couple of more drive-bys regarding the location, because I really wasn't thinking about replacing the original. But otherwise, yeah, I don't have any other comments. I think that's pretty well done and good. I could say this about the process. I salute the Park and Rec staff and the Parks and Rec Commission for the work on this and all the public input too. I think this public art program is still maybe even in its infancy, but it's gotten legs lately, and I really appreciate the interest and the comments from the public on it. So thank you.
Councilmember Dennison.
Thank you, Mayor. And thanks for talking about your work. I think some of the comments, 304 of them from different people that participated, which is great. A couple of them I didn't think they were accurate, but you did clarify and just maybe talk a little bit about how you were going to use that contrast, and you talked about stainless steel to ensure that it stayed in contrast to what the rest of the art is. And someone made a comment about Yucca Alley, and I didn't see that. But so I appreciate you talking about providing more contrast in the illumination. Is there, so the image is shown in blue, but you have talked about also different illumination like gold from the hat, going towards the pad or something like that. Is it just one color, or are there multiple colors considered?
Yeah.
Or is it
The
material?
blue is just to give the vibe of it being at night. The light, I would assume, would be all the same color unless that's something that you wanted. I was talking about how I don't want light just coming from one direction. One light from the back is great, but lights at different angles illuminating the special parts of the sculpture, like the hat being illuminated from below, or the pot being illuminated from both sides to show that dimension. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I think the presentation, you've talked about other things that were on my mind also. So I appreciate you submitting this to the PRCC. They have a difficult job to get us to this point. So I appreciate everybody working together, the artists and the PRCC.
All right, thank you. I have a couple questions. All the white areas, are those like cutting through the metal or whatever material so you see behind it, or what does that represent?
Yes, the Joshua tree, the yucca plant, the moon, and the stars, those are all perforations through the steel. Those are negative shapes. And then backlit at night, they would be light coming through the steel. The halo of white that's coming around the letters, that's just showing how the letters would be backlit themselves, creating additional contrast from the sign body. Those wouldn't be negative shapes. They would be positives that would be spaced out a little bit from the sign body itself, and potentially a different patina or metal.
Okay, and also, I want to talk about location, even though that's not what we're deciding tonight, but I want to get my opinion in again, because I mentioned it at the last meeting. And I've been looking at this on Google Earth a lot, probably too much, but when you look at the street before, Pinion, it's almost the same thing. It's like right next to the highway, as opposed to the existing sign, which is off of the highway a little bit and a little harder to see. I think moving it west, one street, I think it's Pinion, would be the perfect spot. And I would like to consider that. But I want to ask staff, we are going to be discussing location in the future, correct?
I think the goal tonight is to go through design primarily, and then to mention location, ideas, and comments, and we can wrap that into our analysis afterwards, and in any subsequent conversation, we'll bring those concepts back to you.
At a future meeting?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to say that since we started talking about that, but location will be discussed later. So as far as the design, I love the Native American aspect, and I love the like grub stake cowboy look on the right. That's really nice. So thank you. Anybody else have questions? All right.
Thank you very much for all of your questions. I would say one thing in regards to location. All of the spots that you mentioned, if you find a piece that you like and you think identifies well with the town and represents it, I think that it's going to look good in any of those. There isn't too big of a drastic change between the three spots that you mentioned. I drove by the Pinion Road after you mentioned it last time, and I thought that that was a good idea if you wanted it spaced away from potential construction. But this is a branding project, and I really like that idea of picking something and it paving the way for where you put it and other things to follow in the town. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you, Christopher. Next up, we have Corey Hamilton's submission. Corey messaged me yesterday that he has the flu and it'd be unlikely that he would be here tonight. Gave him the option of a Zoom meeting and he's not feeling up to it. So I just wanted to, this is his submission packet that he gave to us in the initial call for artists. So his submission is a concrete structure. The coyote on top is bronze or brass. One of his traditional sculpting out of clay or foam and then sending it off to be reproduced in bronze. Another angle. So this is meant to be 12 feet long by 8 feet high. This is an example of similar kinds of projects where he cast something in concrete for the base and then built out from that. This is an installation at a school that was funded through a grant. This is installed on the playground, and it is a fully functioning sundial. So just a demonstration of how he does concrete and blends it with the surrounding art. These are cast in, I forget if it's bronze or brass, but again, that same as the same idea of what he was proposing for the coyote. These are these were sculpted in clay. They were sent out to be redone and finished in bronze. So from that original clay sculpture, and that's the same kind of the process. So demonstrating that he has experience in both. And I'm not going to be able to read that. Corey is a Yucca Valley native. He is an artist. His main works are in metal and wood, and this is what he does full time. He did apologize that he couldn't be here tonight, but he wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. Had some brief correspondence with him, but that's the extent of Corey's presentation. I might be able to answer a couple questions if you had something about it, but
I
pretty
think
limited.
his application is in the
Yeah.
staff report, yeah.
So.
Put the picture back up. There you go.
Yep. So the lower part, he was proposing be cast in concrete like the sundial. So.
Yeah, I like the scope. It seems proportional. It's long, and yet the dimension of height could be sufficient to make it very observable. The logo of the town of Yucca Valley is prominent and easy to associate with because it's on other things in the town. I like it. I just, interesting. I'd have to see the location. I think the location makes all the difference in the world. See, I could vision this on top of the existing Garski stonework, and you wouldn't have to, you could cast it and anchor it to that stonework somehow, where we could use some of the old, but I don't see it in the location right next to the corner because right behind it, and you would see through it, the dispensary and what will be eventually a gas station there, and it may really detract from it. So that's my comments.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I agree also. What I like about this is it does have the branding, our logo on there and so forth. It is a great piece to put exactly where our original piece is at, up in that area. So it would fit in seamlessly, easily identified. You can read Yucca Valley very clearly. I also like that the elevation's put there and not population because that can change through the years. We also, by putting that in that original location of our sign, less likely for somebody to, mess with the coyote or vandalize or whatever. But we really don't have that problem with the saber-toothed tiger there at Remembrance Park. So I do like that. Coyotes are identified in our area, so it does bring local and the use of stone and rock work. And again, location's important. And I think you're wondering about, getting lost at the other location. I think that's going to be for any artwork, not just this one, because it would be competing. So that's the problem. You're going to compete against other signage and other things going on. I do love that. I think there was a little bit of pushback against the Hamilton submission because it ended up being sort of looked at as a popularity contest, trying to get as many votes in as possible. I think that rubbed a few people the wrong way, but you cannot deny his artistic ability and the product that he's put out in the past, also very local as well as the other submissions. So it's safe. It's not, you're not going to get critiqued or beat up over it, and it is very attractive. So I do appreciate this submission.
All right, Councilmember Schooler.
Yeah, I agree with those comments. I did see one public comment regarding the coyote, if that was the best choice of animals, or maybe a roadrunner might be more appropriate. I'm not real sure. I guess I'd have to give that some thought, but I know that Corey Hamilton does remarkable carvings of any animal, any and every animal. So it's obviously quality work, and I really kind of think all of the submissions are real high quality. So yeah, I don't have anything else to say about it. It's a good piece.
Thank you, Councilmember Dennison.
Yes, I just want to say that I agree with the other comments. I'm kind of more of an all straight lines kind of person, so that's just me. I like the idea that there's one thing that's clear on it. It's the town of Yucca Valley with our branding also. So those two things. Some of the comments that I heard was about the coyote and possibly sometimes they're looked at more of a threat than something else. But it's part of our life up here. It's part of the wildlife. It's been demonstrated in many other images of our area. But it does grab your attention, I'll say that. And so I think it's very, very good art. Once again, the top 5 are all great submissions, but I do appreciate Corey's work. Very nice.
I just want to say that these are all concepts, just like the previous one looked kind of square. This one does not look 8 by 12. The 12 way looks way long or whatever, but so it's the same thing. It's a concept. So we're looking at the concept and not actually that as a real final drawing. So, but I like it. So let's move on to the next.
I'd like to invite Catherine Iblings up for her presentation. There you go.
Good evening, council members. Where's my picture?
You can scroll through right here. It starts with your statement, and then you'll get to the photos.
Hi, my name is Catherine Iblings. I only don't just design the sculpture, I also build it. I use multiple metals to represent the town of Yucca Valley. The mountains are made out of copper, rusted steel, and blackened steel. They represent our hills, because if you look at them, they're bright up front and darken as they go back. Also, I have a yucca bush to represent our seal of the town, and it's made 3D on top of a nice platform to also hold our 3D yucca bush that we're very known for. I made it on a platform so it can be moved anywhere and also have cutouts of the skyline of Yucca Valley lit up by solar lights. The Welcome to Yucca Valley letters will be stainless steel, and between every mountain will be solar lights to light it up during the nighttime so you can see all the contrast. If you didn't notice, there's little people hiking, because we're also very known for hiking and rock climbing. And I've never seen anyone who made 3D signs before, let alone out of so many different metals, because there's so many different people in Yucca Valley. And that's the representation of all of it. Sorry, I didn't really have time to prepare. I've been very busy at work, since I do work for myself and I do work alone. Is there any questions that you guys have?
Can you forward a slide to show your other work that you've done? I think there's some other, there you go. Now, what was this project?
I was commissioned to make a sculpture for an interior designer down in the lower desert. That's actually the rusted steel that I'd be using. See, like the yucca tree will be, or the Joshua tree will be made out of rusted steel trunk, brass underleaves, and patina green copper to represent the live leaves. And the live leaves on the yucca bush will also be copper with a brass stem and stainless steel flowers. They last for a very long time. The stainless will not tarnish, and they'll always be shiny. And it all gives it a contrast to where it frames the Yucca Valley welcome sign, the letters. I also wanted to do those floating in acrylic, so they'll be see-through and they won't be breakable. And the platform also provides a place for people to sit down and take pictures with it, because I think people like taking pictures with our welcome sign. And you can move it anywhere. Doesn't matter where. It's permanent, but not permanent. And all the lighting will all be integrated into it, so you don't have to worry about it all, and it'll all be solar. So you can literally pop in the middle of the desert and you'll be good.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Let's see if we have any questions. So let's start on the left this time. What's that?
I was going to have her bring it back to the original sign. There's an up and a down button. There you go. Yeah, thank you.
So, Councilmember Schooler, you have any?
Okay. Yeah, I like this design. I think it kind of captures who we are. I like the layers of mountains, you know, how that's differentiated, because that's something we see every sunset, every night. Joshua tree is really good. Yucca is good. Saguaro is maybe, I don't know if that should be there or not, but I think the colors are good. The materials, like you described, sound good. It's an attractive piece.
Councilmember Dennison.
Very beautiful. Thank you for having a yucca prominent in there also with the Joshua tree.
Thank you.
And I like the design. One thing, there were some comments about, can you give me just your thoughts in the storyline between the community building images along the bottom belt?
Well, it's Old Town, and we have Christ Park up there, because everybody knows Christ Park. And everyone knows Old Town to lead up to Pioneer Town Road. So I figured since those are the most memorable and iconic buildings out here, those would be the best for the skyline because they'd be more noticeable and recognizable.
Well, thank you for that, because that's important. You know, if it's a part of a storyline in the history of our town, you know, whether it's Water Canyon or it's the well, Warren's Well, or as you talked about, you know, Old Town area and how it started. And I kind of thought that, but I was only guessing, you know, which one was which.
Well, obviously, I did a good representation of it then, if you got it right.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Lombardo.
I like the design. I'm a little concerned about the fragility of the Joshua tree, but that would depend, of course, on what materials it's made from. I like your idea of different metals with different qualities and color. On a flat piece of paper, it's hard to see the depth
Yeah.
and to convey that. I was also curious about the symbols on the bottom. I do recognize some of Christ Park there. What were the other things that were listed there? Or are they all just different parts of Christ Park?
Oh, no, the Christ Park is the second one from the right,
Uh-huh.
and the rest of it's Old Town.
Oh, Old Town, the various buildings, okay. Very good.
And I think I should put Christ Park at the end, huh?
I'm sorry?
Should have put Christ Park at the end instead.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah, it looks like one of the figures in the Christ Park thing, but, okay, very nice, though.
And the yucca bush is actually made out of, the leaves are made out of copper, the stem will be brass, and the flowers are stainless steel.
And is there?
Everything on it will be softened and no sharp edges, no spikes or anything like that in case there's children, and so no one will get hurt.
Okay. And one of the things that I think we should mention too is people like to come around it and take pictures.
Yeah,
You want to have is it landscaped in front? Is that your concept, that it would be landscaped in front in
that
a
was
way?
just to make it look nice. It can be whatever landscaping you want. I would go with natural, but that's why it's on a platform, so people can come up to it, sit on it, go behind it,
Right.
and it's all incorporated in one, so that nothing can get messed with.
Yeah, I kind of envisioned something that would lend itself well to, groups coming, standing in different spots, doing something funny, and somebody taking a picture.
That's why there's a good, nice little spot in the air in front of it,
Yeah.
so they can have
A little
like
bench.
people
or-
sit down and,
Yeah, that kind of thing. I think that'd be really good, and this would lend itself to that real well. Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. I do really love how you captured our mountains. That's really important, and that's sort of the concept that we had with the Desert Arc project, trying to incorporate our colors and our mountains and so forth within the design. So I see this as a nice piece. I almost see it as like for Desert Arc, I mean, YV Arc, welcome to YV Arc, or welcome to Yucca Valley down at the
Center.
yeah, down at the park and ride area, or down by the new downtown parking area, where people can sit as part of a bench, and people could sit and get a picture there. So I like the Instagrammable thing, and that's good for marketing Yucca Valley. I think that's really important. I was sort of thinking of something iconic on the highway that would be like somebody would get out of their car and take a picture like, they do in front of the Joshua Tree sign. But I've sort of changed my thought process because that's a busy highway and so forth. I'm thinking this kind of a piece would be very good at like our downtown parking area where people are already out of their car, chance to grab a picture. They're more likely to take a picture when they're already out of their vehicle instead of stopping on the highway. And again, it may have a really great place in our town. Some people might get a little freaky about the symbolism on the bottom because they think, well, is that Asian letters, or is that Arabic, or is that some kind of a language I don't know? Is this Hobbit talk and people don't, what's it really say?
It will be a lot more detailed when it's a little bit bigger scale.
Yeah, but it's arts, and it grabs your attention. So again, I think it's a great submission, and I really also sold me is the other pictures you incorporated with the other big steel structures that you've made in the
Yeah.
past. So you definitely know how to put it together. And, you can always make the Joshua Tree a little girthier, bigger, and not as many branches. It can always be
It'll be
adjusted
simpler.
accordingly.
It'll be a lot simpler. And once people see that it's a 3D Joshua Tree, that's going to really draw people in because, you don't really see 3D metal
Yeah.
sculptures like that.
And I do, again, I'm thinking this more of another location with a park bench kind of seat, where you can sit there and get a picture, because I would instantly take a picture with my family in that kind of a setting. So thank you for the submission, I appreciate it.
And yes, I want to say thank you so much. And I love the 3D aspect of it with the mountains behind each other. And I'm sure there would be lighting behind each mountain.
Yes.
So that's really smart. And I like the bench. And I do want to remind everyone that hopefully in the future, we'll be working on other projects like this, like on the east end of Yucca, coming in from Joshua Tree, and hopefully Old Woman Springs Road. So maybe we'll have more submissions in the future when that comes about. Who knows when that'll be, but anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it.
So I've actually done the mountains before, and that's why I use them in my design now. I just didn't know where to email the pictures to. But I call them modern barbed wire.
Okay.
They go on top of brick walls, and there's 3 layers, and they act like barbed wire. They just look really nice. So I can show you the different contrast of what they'll look like.
Well, you can email all of us,
Oh.
or Clayton, and he can send it to us.
Can I get you can you give me the information?
But we're all on the town website.
Yeah, okay.
So thank you. All right, who's next, Clayton?
This is fun for us. I don't know if it's fun for the artists.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up, I'd like to invite David Irwin.
Hi there. Oh, prepared. All sorts of things. Wow.
See if we can get these propped up here. Maybe I'll split them up. button?
Bring the lights up. This will flip through your
Oh,
slides.
fantastic.
So you have your entire application packet all the
Wow.
way to here. And
Wow.
then there.
Concept.
Perfect.
Overview,
Very
and
nice.
the final one that we
Wow,
use for all
okay.
our stuff. So you got everything from your original submission.
Yeah.
Plus.
Thank you, brother.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
You're going to hire him as
Hi,
an
everybody.
assistant.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening. My name's David Irwin. I've lived in Joshua Tree for 6 years. I started a business 6 years ago called Terra Projects. On my way over here, I was talking to a friend and patron on the phone, and I was reminded there's so much awesome stuff going on in the high desert, and I'm really excited to live here. I grew up in a small town on the East Coast, on Long Island, and for some reason I find a lot of Long Islanders here, which is pretty cool.
They like the weather.
So, it's exciting times. It makes me think of Norman Essig, the founder of town of Yucca Valley. And this happens to be, as of November 2024, 33 years for the town of Yucca Valley. And my thinking in this proposal is to go big, much like Norman did when he decided to come out here and buy a bunch of land. So my company, Terra Projects, we've put $4 million worth of construction permitted in the ground. We designed that to permit prep for everything. Right now, we have $3 million worth of construction under design contract for our studio, and we've put about 85 permits through, submitted them and everything to the county. Between the years of, just want to tell you a little bit about myself here. Between the years of 2023, 2024, volunteered about 100 man-hours over at the way station. I say that only because community is really important to me, and it's one of the reasons that I'm so excited about this project. So I'm going to read here the concept. Let's get to a good slide. This is a good one. I'm going to read the concept here. Actually, let's use this one. Oops. Okay. In an old leather-bound book, a king's utterances were captured. The upright shall dwell in the land. While the animals seemingly followed those words and took to the earth, crafting their burrows down deep in the temperate sands, humans, time and again, chose to build above the ground. And I wonder, why is this? Perhaps for the single reason that a view of the horizon is important to us. Some say it gives us the ability to feel stable and to maintain trust in tomorrow. Steel and aluminum break the horizon at the project site as metal rises from the earth. The driver's gaze is carried laterally from the striped blacktop toward the garden-filled entrance into the town of Yucca Valley. The project continues on, and from this lush garden, the gaze is carried deep into the sand within the culture corridor. This passageway offers connection under the highway, offering rest and calm from our predictable above-ground ways of living. This is a bold proposal that's going to cost a lot of money. I have to say that right now. I'm proposing doing an underground tunnel as well as the sign. I'm going to go to the site plan here. Okay? The land across the way is owned by Yucca Valley. Since the last meeting we had, I decided that's not the right place for the site. The right place for the site is halfway between that street with the light and Pinion. The reason why is if you put it too far close to Pinion, by the time I counted it, you get to 21,000 and then you hit this cross, this intersection here. We're going to want it somewhere between the two. In the model, as well as these renderings, you can see that we are moving right into that service road, so we're able to take advantage of that. The sign itself is 8 by 12, but the structure, of course, is much more striking. I clocked it. Everyone's going about 60 past here. You need to elevate the sign. We can have plantings below. They can be native plantings. They don't have to be these barrel cactuses I have here. But having it elevated is going to give everybody the presence of, okay, I'm coming into something here. Got 30 seconds. So What I also have, these are images of down inside of the tunnel. The tunnel itself, it serves for moving people, animals. Also, of course, it's going to be cold. It's going to have a temperature of about 70 degrees year-round. And again, Yucca Valley owns the land on the other side. I suggest we grade it, and then we're able to connect the two. And the last thing I'll say is that from a funding standpoint, we're able to get grants from, about 3 seconds, grants from the state, which I've researched, and I have a packet from the state as well. So thank you all very much for your time.
All right. Thank you, David. Let's see if we have any questions. Let's start on the left again, since I did the right twice. So, Councilmember Schooler.
Yeah, David, this is very interesting. Do you have an image that could show me from the top down? I see there's some depth to that piece in the middle.
Yes, and may I pass this? This is the...
Certainly.
This is the packet. There's $37 million each year that's given from for Caltrans, and for doing a landmark project, I think this is the perfect opportunity for us. I'm going to go to that top view.
Okay.
Is that the image?
I wanted a little more detail on that piece that's among the upright sticks. You know, there's a piece in there, like how...
Sure.
What's the dimensions of that piece?
Sure. Yeah, so the black sign, the sign that's in there, the sign is 8 by 12, right? And then these members are coming up. The structure itself, I mean, that's probably like a 30-foot member. And we'll make sure that it's not going to be leaning over the highway, but having something striking that you know that you're coming into the town of Yucca Valley is quite important. The sign itself, that's 8 by 12, and then we cut into it.
Okay, so the 8 by 12 on this piece is 8 wide, 12 high?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then as you see, there's a dip in there, and that's representing the north and south mountain ranges. So of course, Yucca Valley is a valley, so it's taking that general shape and then saying, let's use that as the sign.
Okay, okay. Well, I love the attention to detail and the research on this. Very creative. The underground tunnel is way creative, but yeah, it's an amazing concept. Thank you.
Councilmember Dennison.
Yeah, thank you, David. One, for your presentation,
Yes, sir.
your artwork, and your enthusiasm. It's great. It's refreshing. You're right in a couple ways. One, it's a busy part of town. We have a lot of traffic, and elevating it sometimes may improve the visibility and unobstructed from other traffic if you happen to be in the one lane, something like that. So that looks good. I like the idea. You did mention my one concern was, as far as we're very minimalistic in our area with our vegetation and the area around here with all of the plants. And so this would not fit in there, but you said those would be changed. But of course, we try and keep it as organically as possible and as close to just natural as possible too, which requires very little maintenance, which is good. But I do like the clarity on the sign itself. The message is clear. Welcome to Yucca Valley. And once again, you integrated our town logo in it. So thanks for the presentation. Yeah, and the tunnel is very interesting. Yeah. Very ambitious. I want to read more. Thank you for providing the information.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Lombardo.
Wow. I'm impressed with your artistic grasp of things and your little reading that you gave in the beginning struck me as a very artistic way of presenting it. Your vision is something that I think Yucca could use. This is bold and forward-thinking. It's out of the box of what we were drawing. The concept of being able to get a grant to do an underground tunnel just is fascinating to me because I thought that would be a really useful thing where we just spent $1 million or so in the center of town. There's a lot of activity there going on. the tunnel could allow a lot of increase in things happening in the location where you've put it. And if we do own the land on both sides, wow, that's very fortunate. I would like to see the idea explored further. I like the idea of expanding beyond the 8 by 12 with these poles in the air. It does grab your view. The signage would be, something I'd want to know more about in a further development of the concept. But I think all the elements are there. I'm very impressed.
May I share a couple things about the sign?
Sure.
So the thinking with the materials of the sign is that we would do vertical cantilever footings. We would then have the steel coming up out of there. They'll be welded, they'll be welded together, some nice thick gauge, and we'll cap the top so you don't get rain down in there. Yeah, that's been considered. It's very similar to some of the other structures I've already built. The details on the right, I pulled them right from other things that have been constructed.
Yeah, we'd be concerned about the wind, you'd have to engineer the wind.
Of course, wind loads and all of that,
Because we get
yes,
some
sir.
wicked winds up here.
Absolutely.
And a sign that big would have a lot of forces on it, as you're
Yeah.
aware, I'm sure.
Yeah, we have a great structural engineer.
I like the concept of it being up, and I like the idea of landscaping, but it does need to be simplified, something easier to maintain and
I
something
agree.
more appropriate for our environment. But I'm blown away. This is awesome. I can see why you're so successful.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I agree, David. Great design. I love the idea that you put behind elevating it because of the speed of traffic and thinking outside the box. We give you the dimensions, the sign fits within those dimensions, but by elevating it, it does give it a much grander presentation, and it is very recognizable. You're not going to miss it, as you're going through town. I like that you incorporated our town's logo. I'm assuming the sign would have 2 sides to it, so thank you for visiting or whatever with the same kind of concept on the other. I do like how striking it is, so that checks those boxes for me. I also really love how you incorporated the mountain ranges on both sides and the valley in the middle. That's just fantastic. If you, as far as the tunnel idea, if you can find us that kind of money, we have a lot of projects on the highway that could use that money. And especially tunneling, when you look at communities that do tunneling underneath roads, I think of Estes Park in Colorado. It's in their downtown area where there's a lot of foot traffic between. So, a lot of people in Old Town are wanting to cross the highway there. So a tunnel project or something might be better suited there than out on that end of town. But we're just concentrating on signage, and I think you made a great presentation. I can see why you were in the top 5 presenters. And yeah, I am so happy that people like you with your creativity, your age, your enthusiasm have found us and are making us your place of residence. So thank you for choosing Joshua Tree and being part of Yucca Valley.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate your presentation. And whenever someone mentions a tunnel, I always think of my childhood, like Knott's Berry Farm, the tunnel that goes underneath Beach Boulevard. But anyway, if any of you know what that is. But I like the design. I like that it's got the 3D aspect with everything pointing in every direction, and you have it like adjusted to real coordinates. So that's really cool. And it's just very clean and sharp, and it's nice. And the elevation thing is nice also. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Mayor, I'd like to invite our 5th artist, Gina Pliss. Packet. This is the email you sent me. Click through and you'll be able to see
Oh, cool.
everything, including your sample. Starts with the text, so you can skip that. You can't read it from here anyway.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, thank you so much for having us here. Thank you for allowing all of us to come and speak about our pieces and for the commission to just have opened this up. I also am a native to Yucca Valley. My parents moved here just a few days before I was born. I'm not going to tell you how many years ago that was. And I will tell you that I live in the neighborhood where this is going to be installed. So I have never looked at the Town of Yucca Valley sign as much as I have since the submission for this art went out. And I will say, I'd like to just comment to the location briefly. It is tucked away in that mountain. I see it better in my rear view mirror than I do when I come over that hill, but I see it every day leaving. And so when I designed, I made it very important not only to say, welcome to Yucca Valley when people are coming in, but to also say farewell as they're leaving, noting that we are seeing two different sides of it as it currently stands. So when I look at the model that I've made for you, because we all needed to spend some time on Christmas break doing something fun. As some of the other artists noted, our pictures did not translate well for size in comparison to what was happening in our minds and what we actually submitted. So I thought I would come together with my 4th grade MUSD skills of art and make a little something for you to view a little bit closer up. So when I envisioned this particular project, I thought of what we already have. And part of the call to submit our art was to take care of looking at our heritage, which to me was our iconic sign that we already have. And as you mentioned earlier today, could we repurpose the stone? And that's exactly what I had in mind, was giving it a different look than what it is now, but repurposing part of our heritage that already existed with the stone structure that's there. So when you look at this in color, it's a little bit easier to see it up close and in the light. But the structure that I made for you would be that the drum itself would be some sort of steel plate or drum that could then be covered maybe in a vinyl structure or something similar to what we're using. And I understand that that may be a little bit more on the temporary side than what some of the other fantastic artists have in mind, but I'm an amateur and they are not. So I'm honored just to be here. Mr. Abel said many of the things I was going to say, and one of them really is just being an honor to be a part of 5, like wow. So with the Joshua trees, they would also be cut from a steel, and they would be like a two-dimensional type of a flat steel of different metals. Could be copper, could be corrugated tin, something patinaed. And then as you can see on the model, there are plants down at the bottom. Those would also be steel. That's why I painted some in copper and some in a silver-ish sort of a color. So, wow, that looks good from here. Just kidding. When I designed this, this is an original piece of work, and I will show you a little bit of my other work. So this was just a landscape of the moon. And these are 3 pieces that I actually had the opportunity to hang in the California Welcome Center when they did their call for art last year. I was one of the winners for that. So I've taken that same sense of artwork and transformed it into more of a 3D look so that I could give you guys more of an idea of what we'd be looking at here. So I think that's about everything that I have to describe how I would portray that and what that would look like. It is not scaled because I don't have those math skills, but it would be roughly 12 feet long and 8 feet high. So it would fit into the requested time and space. So I agree with some of the other artists that perhaps moving it down closer to Pinion, maybe not all the way next to Camino del Cielo, may be favorable, but I also understand where it could stay, especially if we utilize stones that are already there. And then my project would be lit up with some sort of lighting that would just kind of hit it here and maybe from behind the plants as well, similar to how some of the other artists have described theirs as well.
All right. Thank you, Gina. Let's start with Councilmember Lombardo.
Man, this has been a fun evening for me. It's got my art instincts all up in the air. This is great. Your little diagramma there, fantastic. A lot of love and care put into that. It's beautiful. And I can see the concept of reutilizing some of the Garski stones from the original sign. They would fit right into your design on the base, or maybe even the base was the Garski sign and repositioned in a different way. Concept is beautiful. It's balanced well. I like the use of colors. I'm a little concerned about the permanency of the color. Our desert sun is horrible on things. But that might be something that if you collaborated with others on that have more experience, they might be able to steer you in the right direction. Maybe it can be enameled. I don't know. It might be able to be powder coated steel. Yeah, and those things are more permanent and would work well. It's beautiful. You've put a lot of love into that, and it really looks like it would be a good symbol for Yucca Valley. I'm just sad we can't do 10 of the, I mean, every one of the designs I've seen tonight are just exciting in different ways.
I agree
But
with
they're all exciting, and yours is right up there. You've got a lot to be proud of being in a group of those 5 professionals. Yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
I feel sorry for Mary Lombardo because her husband's not going to be able to sleep tonight. He's going to be so jacked up on art, and he's going to have nothing but talking about it and thinking about it.
bet.
It's like a drug to him. You know, he loves art. He loves it. And we're appreciating everyone's effort. My goodness, you're doing scale models and so forth, and that's just amazing. I was also thinking the powder coating metal and so forth. Could make it a more permanent design and colors and so forth, and they do hold up. And it's a little thing, but I really love it. It says, bid you farewell. Yeah, and that's very Yucca Valley hometown. Instead of thanks for visiting or see you next time or come back soon, it really captured Yucca Valley, because I think this is just one of the more friendly communities you can find in Southern California. And I know we have some people that are, you know, anti-tourists and so forth, but I have found that this is just a welcoming community, and your artwork reflects that. I know you probably got a little pushback on the saguaro cactus, but it's probably photographed as much as Joshua trees are, because downtown, I'm sitting in my office and I look over there and there are tourists after tourists after tourists taking pictures of a saguaro cactus in the middle of downtown Yucca Valley. So, I mean, we do have one, several, and they're very photographed. I also love how you incorporated the yucca in your art as well, and capturing the Joshua tree, which is iconic. And it's a great piece. You should be very proud of it. Thank you.
If I might, too, living in this community, one of the things I hear a lot of people talk about is the night sky, and I value how much all of the artists recognize our night sky, our skyline, our mountain ranges, and that's really something that is strong for me, is that sunset, that haze that you catch when you are heading out of town. That's my view every day on the way home, and there's something about it that just tingles in my soul, and that's what I was trying to capture here as well.
All right, let's move on to Councilmember Schooler.
Yeah, Gina, thank you for getting in the party on this. This is amazing and very thoughtful. Your history in town comes through on this. I like the different, I mean, between the two pictures, there's 2 different skies, 2 different sets of mountains, and I assume that's east and west views. Okay, very nice. I'm a little more than a little bit colorblind, so some of the colors in the middle are sort of lost on me, and if they were contrasted a bit more, it would make a little more sense to me. But you know, they tend to run together as a little bit dark, but I like it. I like the thoughtfulness on using the existing base that's out there, and yeah, it just you can tell you've been around here for a while. So good job, thank you.
Councilmember Dennison.
Well, thank you, Gina. Beautiful. I think everyone kind of stole most of the comments that I was going to mention, but I do like there are different images on as you approach and as you leave. So like a different time of day almost. So it was kind of a nice trip to go all the way through that. And Mayor Pro Tem said it well, that, bid your farewell, and that's very, very nice and pleasant. So I do like, I'm probably like you for years, and as beaten up and as tattered as it is, like myself, the sign there, in and out of town, it's seen better days, but it is something that people that have been here a long time really have just learned to almost overlook it because it's supposed to be there. They would notice it if it wasn't there. But we all look at it and go, it's time for its own rebirth. So that's, I think the way that you presented it is very nice and very thoughtful of our town and our history and trying to capture what catches our eye all the time. I don't know if everyone understands the rough journey that sign's had over all the years here, but it means a lot to many of us, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you, Gina. It's a really nice sign. It's obvious, which is really a nice thing. And I love the mountains in the background. It's really incredible. And I'm glad on the other side you didn't put "Don't let the door hit you." But yeah, yes. But anyway, we really appreciate it, and that's really a beautiful sign. So thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. I feel like there's a lot of people in our community that have the "Go Back to LA" tags on there, and my family moved here many, many, many years ago from LA, so we don't get to say that, right? But we definitely don't have that sentiment, and I think that the tourists that are coming to our area, they're spending money in our area that helps us in the long run also. So for me personally, my sentiment is it bids you farewell. Thanks for visiting and come back again. Yeah, so thank you.
Beautiful, thoughtful sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And Clayton, you have anything else to add before public comment?
Nothing, Mayor. Public comment and then any discussion from council.
All right, so is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this item? Online or in person?
Mayor, we have a request to speak from Mr. Eric Menendez.
Come on up, Eric.
Press the microphone. There you go.
Hey there, good afternoon, or good evening, council. Thank you for having and hearing me. I want to say that I was following this back at the film festival when they had all 5 of these in the window there. I think they're all fantastic designs. And as you know, we recently did through the Joshua Tree Gateway Communities Alliance, put out a call for artists to design passport stamps. As some of you might know, we have been working on with the collaborative of merchants and artists, a passport to promote tourism to gateway cities. And the gateway city concept is, trying to emphasize that we are one big community on both sides of the park. We have a lot of common interests. So I think like David Irwin, he had a good point, a lot of the things, how he's in Joshua Tree and over here, I'm in 29 and we're all spread out, but we all have common goals as you come through Highway 62. And one of the key things that I think ties into this project is a while ago, there was a presentation at one of the county meetings regarding gateway communities and the Mon Forest towns. And they have a style guide. And one of the things that these communities in West Virginia that all came together to support their national forests, they worked together to kind of showcase the uniqueness of every community, but also how they have common goals with wayfinding, with preserving the national forest, traffic, tourism. I know we've been talking a lot about this for a couple of years when I come to the Breakfast with the Mayor thing. I just want to point out, you have it there, the most current draft I gave you. We're almost done with getting to the printer. We're going to have 5,000 units soon. The Yucca Valley backdrop, I chose the sign that's up there, the one we all remember. I see it's getting its sunspots and it's rust, but it is a great sign. And I kind of put that as our backdrop. I've been talking with folks at the Welcome Center, folks at our Visit 29 Center, as well as folks at the historical societies on both sides of town. And I'm trying to make the passport an educational thing so we can showcase everything this whole basin has to offer. So I think you guys have a hard decision on you on what monument you're going to go with, but I think even if you choose multiple ones, like you were mentioning a sitting area for the new parking structure, or not the parking lot at Old Town, I think that's a great thing to utilize these submissions in multiple ways. So anyways, hats off, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Anyone in the public? Okay, well, I guess that's it for item number 6, but before we move on to item number 7, which is an update about the western Joshua tree, we're going to take a 5-minute break if anyone needs to use the restroom, so.
Mayor,
Yes.
I think we want to hear some comments from the council, generally speaking, about what your desire is in terms of moving this forward. If there's other items aside from location, we might want to hear a little bit about what your thought is on reflection for design. So that'd be something that we're looking for this evening.
Okay, so does anyone?
And to be clear, I don't think there's any expectation that the council is going to come to a consensus tonight, but I think to help us shape the conversation for your next council meeting and your next discussion on this would be helpful.
All right, thank you. Sorry I moved along too quick, but anyway, so let's see if any council members have any comments, so.
Yeah.
Anybody go ahead.
I love the designs. I'm excited by what I see. The creativity of our community surpasses any expectation I've ever had. I think I would like to know more about location. I would love to know more about the possibility of a tunnel. I don't know how I find out more about that, but boy, that intrigues me. I think that we actually ought to have a discussion with people involved with the tribal community and the design of their gas station and dispensary that's on the east side of that corner, because I think that influences a lot of what happens to the space where we put the sign and its visual impact. And I need to look at the concept of moving it a little more to Pinion, because I think right where we first talked about is, oh yeah, this is going to be it. And then the dispensary went up, and it kind of changed my whole view of that location. And so I'd like to have a talk with the tribal people. Maybe there's even an opportunity where we could collaborate with the tribe and place the sign in a way where it's not visually obstructing them or their building obstructing the signage. And maybe there's a way we could kind of do this together like we should, because we're a community. We should, serve each other's purpose in a way. There might be a way to separate the signage but have access to it from their property, or maybe even people that want to take their pictures by it, they can pull off into the gas station or the whatever they have, convenience store or whatever, and have parking there where we don't have to provide the parking, but we have safe access to the signage for photos and that sort of thing. But I think we need to at least approach that and see if they're willing to talk with us at all, and see if there's any agreements that we can formulate that would be to the benefit of both of our communities.
Yeah, I would like to, again, look at locations and so forth. My other real concern is cost. It's not just an open checkbook and let's just build whatever, and how much the cost is going to be able to put these into actual practice. And then also, if we narrow down some of these designs, I would like to see more of an actual realistic photoshopping of exactly what it looks like from the middle lane of the highway or something like that. So we know if it gets lost or if it's obstructed. I'm concerned about costs. And again, if some of those designs can be adapted, like the recommendations that were given as far as size or dimensions and so forth. But again, I think we're all in agreement. We have some great choices here, and I think we'll come to a consensus. But I'm really financially worried about what the actual costs are being, because this is only one sign. It's the most important sign coming into our community, but it's not going to be the last sign we put up.
All right, thank you. And council member, who wants to go first? Schooler? Okay.
Yeah, again, the PRCC did remarkable work to narrow this down to 5 for us to look at. And reading the staff report was one thing, but I really appreciate the presentations by the artists that really gave it a whole lot more meaning to me and a lot more understanding of the various pieces. As far as the location goes, I know that there's development planned to happen nearby, and there will always be new development and new competition for attention for signs, and that's true in every city, every block of every city. You drive by, you see hundreds of signs, and your attention is pretty short, for any of those. So I'm not that concerned about somebody else's sign being in the way of ours or ours being in the way of somebody else's, because it's a split second that you go by a sign and you pay attention to things rapidly. We're all just trained that way. So I think there's a lot of competition for our attention anyway, and I think we just need to understand that there always will be, and there will be future development. But I think the important thing on this decision is that this is branding. This is us deciding as a community who we are and how we want to be remembered, and how we want to be known, and how we want to impress or impact people that come into our community. What are they going to see? What are they going to feel about our community when they see this? And all of these kind of have a little bit different approach to that branding, but I think that's so critically important for us to consider that it's not just, what we see and what we like at the moment, but it's going to be long-term branding. It's going to be who we are and how we impact visitors to the area. So a lot to consider. I really appreciate the input tonight, and I think we got a little bit more work to do, but thank you so much for all those that submitted art and followed it up with a presentation.
All right, Councilmember Dennison.
Well, a lot of good comments already from the council. I know the PRCC had a difficult time because I went through all of the proposals, the 23 that were there, and read all the comments from everyone. And there's one thing that was even kind of mentioned tonight, and I read, is one of the comments was something along the lines, yeah, this is our past, but what about today? And seeing that, I go, well, today is where you're going. You're looking at today. So I don't want to lose the past. I want to hold on to the past. I think our branding of any kind should show where we've been. Anybody could put a Jetsons kind of ad out of there that we're going to live for the future, but I don't think that's Yucca Valley. We like to retain the beauty of the desert, our experience within the nature of the area. There were mentions about sunsets, mentions about starlights, mention about animals. Those are the things that I remember being here for quite a few years. So I'm looking at what's been around and not to lose that. So the image of an actual yucca on the branding was important for me to see that, because that's the name of this town. Even though we probably have more Joshua trees than any other community in the basin, that's not what we are. But it is a part of what we are. But we're named for something else, and then we look at those different those environmental features that we see, and it's reflected in the branding of it. So I think I have a little bit of work to do. There's no doubt about it. I need to have some more discussions and read deeper into what each meant. And I thank everyone for their explanations on the materials that they'll use, the way that it will give it dimension, correction of the sizes to fit probably the largest and boldest impact that we can have to be recognizable as people enter our town. That's what I was looking for, but I do appreciate everyone's dig into our history of our community. Even some of you that have been here newer than myself. I've been here 50 years. So that's a bit of time, but everyone's kind of done their homework, and I'm very appreciative of all the displays. And I don't know how they got to the top 5, because there's a lot of good artwork in there. And one thing I was thinking about is Mayor Pro Tem said, is these pieces of art, it's really hard. Art is so subjective, but it doesn't mean that they can't find this perfect place within our community. So I hope everybody retains their enthusiasm to thinking about how we can put that kind of image of who we are in different parts of our town. That's going to be a big part of my thoughts. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank everybody that presented tonight. But I love the variety of ideas. It's pretty incredible. And I just want to stress again, I think personally, I think it should be moved up towards Pinion Drive or on Pinion Drive, because that teardrop shape you see right there at Camino del Cielo, you have the same thing at Pinion Drive. It's a little wider area, but it's right on the highway. And so it's something we should consider. And is there anything else we should cover before we go to a small break?
No, I think we have enough direction to be able to package something back up for the council in a future meeting.
Okay, well, let's take a 5-minute break. We'll see you at, what time is it? 6:48, about 6:55 or 53 or whatever. All right, we're about ready to start the meeting. If everybody could have a seat. Calling all council members. I'm just kidding. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. So we're going to start with item number 7, the Western Joshua Tree Conservation Plan update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The recommendation for this item is that the Town Council receives and files this report. So, to jump back, recently the California Department of Fish and Wildlife had a series of webinars to discuss their conservation plan, which they made clear is not regulations for the Joshua Tree, but more guidance for the Joshua Tree. Nothing's binding in the plan, but more importantly, they used the time of the webinar to answer the public's comments, which there were significant comments. So I'm going to try to touch on everything that the department touched on and some of the comments. So starting off on an easy note, the department has hazard management permits for Joshua trees that have sustained damage or are potentially damaging a structure or creating a public health and safety issue. Those permits do not have a cost, and they process them in a matter of days instead of months. One thing I did ask during the webinar, which was a negative, is does the sewer project count as a public health and safety threat? As far as groundwater contamination, and the answer was no. So not available for sewer, but available for those other scenarios where it's fallen, crashed into a structure, or blocking a roadway, something similar. There's quite a bit of discussion about what's required for what they call an incidental take permit. So that's if you have a project that's causing ground disturbance and you need to get a permit to either encroach within 50 feet of a Joshua tree. 50 feet, not an official number, but kind of an official number. So if you're encroaching within 50 feet of a tree, or you have to remove a tree, or you have to transplant a tree, all of those things are what they call an incidental take. So these are the items that are required for an incidental take permit. And as Alex can attest, we know this because we have had to go through this a couple times for Alex's projects. Sorry to re-traumatize you, Alex. And one thing that I've seen a little bit in the public discourse is concerns about fees for the mitigation fees. I wanted to kind of touch on the realistic process outside of the mitigation fees, because that is one cost for an incidental take permit. But to be frank, it's not the most difficult part. So in this order, a biological assessment would assess if there's any potential damage to a Joshua tree. So that's a report prepared by a biologist. These are dozens of pages. They're very significant reports. The next step is obtaining a state clearinghouse number, which is one of the first things Fish and Wildlife will ask you for. What that means is they want to verify that the project has gone through the California Environmental Quality Act, most commonly what they call an ISMND, Mitigated Negative Declaration. So CEQA, that's CEQA clearance, and we have confirmed if you're installing a carport or a patio cover and you're 25 feet from a Joshua tree and you think you might damage that Joshua tree or need to move it, remove it, whatever the case is, we asked Fish and Wildlife, is the expectation that that property owner go through the MND process to dig a hole or relocate that Joshua tree? And the answer is yes. MNDs can take anywhere from 4 or 6 months on average, and significant costs, effectively doubling the cost of the entire process. Those reports can range anywhere from 40 to 100,000 on average. So after you get that state clearinghouse number, go through CEQA process, you move on to the incidental take application. That's the permit to move the tree or replace, or destroy it. After that, they'll ask you for a Western Joshua Tree census report. They're going to want to see everything in the vicinity of the project, whether or not it's on your property, a neighbor's property, et cetera. One relief that they provide with that is the census report. Although it's typically prepared by a biologist, it can be prepared by the property owner. It does not have to be prepared by the biologist. Next, if you're impacting 20 Joshua trees or more, you have to prepare a relocation plan where you're showing the department where you're moving the trees to. In our case, we had to illustrate that the area was damaged by fire previously as part of the process. So it's a pretty involved process. I believe our relocation plan by itself is 24 pages. And for Yucca Valley to hit 20 Joshua trees for a property is very easy, and it would happen very quickly because that can be simply one cluster of Joshua trees. Lastly, after you go through all that process, then you get to pay the fees to Fish and Wildlife for the trees. As we'll see later, those costs can be fairly significant depending on how many trees there are. This is an excerpt from our incidental take permit, just so you can see what's required, what goes into the permit. I'll be brief. I don't want to take an hour and 20 minutes to present this, so if you have questions, feel free to ask. But you can see there you have to provide regulatory background, methodology, what's the results, how many trees are being damaged, transplanted, et cetera, and how any damages will be mitigated. An excerpt from the methodologies chapter, just for an illustration of, it's a fairly significant or fairly involved report. Lots of technical information that can be difficult for the average person. This is for the pickleball courts, so you can see how they determine the fee structure for installing some pickleball courts. So we had 32 trees that are going to be charged $150 each, 68 trees that are $200 each, and 37 trees that are $1,000 each. So that's kind of how the math works out. It's important to note that because this project was not within 2 miles of the park, that we are paying the lower fees for this project. So if you're within 2 miles of the national park, it goes up, I believe, approximately twice as much, slightly more than twice as much. You've probably seen this. We had hired an environmental consulting firm to prepare some exhibits, some hypothetical sewer connections, just so the community can wrap their head around what's potentially required by the department. They are aware of this issue and made clear that they're trying to come up with some solutions for the sewer project. But this is a random house on Carlisle Drive. You'll see that there were 138 individual Western Joshua trees, so that's every single stem that comes out of the ground. So you could see on the lower right-hand side, that cluster had 15 stems. The one on the lower left-hand side had 50 stems. So just that cluster had 50 takes associated with it. And it's important because that all adds up. So this estimate for this project, this particular property, for just counting the trees within 50 feet of the sewer line would be approximately $63,000. That does not include any of the report preparation. It does not include the CEQA review. You could expect that if it's regulated how it currently is regulated, that price would effectively double to carry that project out. So quite significant. Those are kind of the major bullet points. As I said, I don't want to take too much time, but if you have any particular questions, I can answer questions following public comment.
Mayor, if I might, thank you. Jared, Shane, I asked to have this put on the agenda tonight for really two reasons. One is to follow up with the workshops that were conducted by the department, but secondly, to recognize and acknowledge the participation of the community in that workshop. We did have a significant number of residents that provided comment. This issue is becoming more elevated for our residents as they begin to understand the potential impacts and understand why the town has been advocating for a common sense approach, which we have not seen yet. We're still working on that. Likely it will require some combination of a legislative fix. Maybe the department has some other thoughts on the conservation plan. We don't know exactly what that looks like, but we're going to continue to push. Today we had a conversation with the city of Adelanto, with their city management and planning staff. Very similar concerns that they're sharing. And so I think there will be strength in numbers. Ultimately, that guidance needs to come from the legislature, the governor, and the department. And we're going to continue to advocate for our residents, and we ask that they continue to stay engaged in this topic. It's very, very important for their own good.
All right, thank you. Now, is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this issue, either online or in person? Or Leslie, do we have anybody signed up? No. So is there anyone online? We have somebody online, so let's start with that.
Dr. Deborah Sabat, you have 3 minutes to speak. I request you to unmute.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Yeah, you said you had a whole plan put together for relocation of the trees. I'd like to get a copy of that. Is there a way to get a copy?
Can file a public records request with the town clerk's office.
Okay, and what is the name of that actually, so I have that?
You can email town clerk at yucca-valley.org.
No, I mean, what is the actual name of the report? Is it just relocation of the Joshua Tree report, or what is the actual name?
You'd be requesting a copy of the town's incidental take permit application for the pickleball court project.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it, Gina? I guess so. Is there anyone else online? Leslie? No one else? No. Okay. Okay, anyone in the public? Is there anyone that would like to speak? Guess not. Let's take it back to the council. So let's start on the left. Let's start with Councilmember Dennison.
Thank you, Mayor. Jared, thank you for that. I think it was a good question that you posed to them about the sewer system, and it was nice to hear your comment about possible solutions that they are kind of looking at, figuring out how we can continue with the safety of our community through healthy drinking water and wastewater management. I guess one thing you didn't bring up in that $65,000 example that was shown, which I think could be almost as costly as moving that many Joshua trees. And I believe Department of Fish and Wildlife still has the option, as they did with our project, to require transplantation as opposed to a full take. And that can cost a lot more money because of ground disruption and moving them in. Is that correct?
Yeah, those fees, those estimated fees do not include the actual work of removing the Joshua trees, monitoring them. They require subsequent monitoring for months and years after that. So there are significant costs associated with the ongoing maintenance and transplant of them.
In addition to that, the council member is correct. The Western Joshua Tree Conservation Act allows the department, the State Department of Fish and Wildlife, to collect fees and to impose other mitigation measures they deem necessary. So that includes transplanting, monitoring, and a whole list of other options that they may consider necessary. So the answer is yes, fee collection as well as other potential mitigation measures.
Thank you. And as we decide to do this, if we have basically a safety reason, a health reason, or a development reason to use any of these tools that, as was mentioned earlier, doesn't seem to have a lot of common sense for a community like ours, it looks like it's quite a challenge. And if we do relocate a tree, I know my daughter would like to have another one in her front yard, and it would be welcome to have. But the person that is submitting for the take permit to move that tree to another area, that person is responsible for the tree that was transplanted to another area. Is that correct? Or is it the new recipient of the tree?
It is the project proponent. That question came up a few times. It is not the receiver of the tree. It's the project proponent.
So yeah, that's another item. But you know, from all the action and the work that's involved, it sounds to me like Department of Fish and Wildlife must have a lot of personnel working all the time on this.
Yucca.
It seems like a lot of involvement to manage this program. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Schooler.
Yes, I said it on one of the webinars, and it just seems as though we've, if things stay the way they are, that brings this town to a standstill, if not a screeching halt in a lot of ways. And so I feel optimistic that somehow there's going to be a solution here that brings common sense into the picture. We have examples all over town where development, sidewalks, fences have occurred over the years right next to where a Joshua tree is, and it hasn't damaged the tree. They're still there and they're surviving after a lot of years. So we've got kind of a disconnect with whoever's making the rules and the reality of actually being here and going around the community and seeing what I feel like as a whole, you know, the community's been good stewards of Joshua trees, but also facilitated development. So I felt like in the webinar, the research that they cited was rather vague, and they kept referencing that this will probably change or it could change and like that. So I think there's some flexibility in their minds, but we're sort of caught right now and we need to work our way through it. So I appreciate the report and just optimistic that we can get through it and find a happy medium for all concerned.
Councilmember Lombardo.
Boy, I wish I shared your optimism. I don't know how we got so out of control, and people out of the area making the decisions that affect our daily life, huge. It's going to increase the costs of the town doing business. It's going to stop anybody from building homes or changing things in their property. It's going to make it impossible to maintain and replace water lines and sewer lines and things that break over time. A lot of our community was built in the 50s and 60s, and it's time to replace some of those things. I know I had to replace the main water line at my dental office, and I was aghast at what it cost to do it. It was, and the mitigation fees are just for the Joshua tree, not for the cost of actually doing the digging in the ground and putting the pipe to the office and having the plumber do that part of it. And it's just cost prohibitive, and it surprises me that people of such education and intelligence make decisions that they should know better, are going to have such negative impacts. It just should not have happened, and I think, the federal government had the right idea when they were first presented with, is the Joshua tree a endangered species, and they said no. And then they took it to the state and found a more sympathetic ear. But now it's going to have to change by legislation, and that's going to be really hard because it's, lopsidedly one party in charge, and they don't want to hear it. And they don't understand how it affects our communities because they don't have Joshua trees in their property in LA and San Francisco and Northern California. It affects us. And we're affected by so many other things that they pass. The laws on, being taxed by mileage. Well, we live in a rural area. We go 20 miles to get our groceries sometimes, They don't see that. I just wish there was more common sense, and I think we need to rise up and start demanding a little more common sense. This is ridiculous. And the mitigation, the way they make you measure and survey your land, holy moly. It's a booklet you have to read through and figure out. It's just ridiculous. And then they come up with a fee for when they finally do decide that you're going to have to take the tree. How did they decide that it's $150 or $200 or $1,000 or $1,500 per tree? Where does that money go, and how do we know it's being used? I'm so upset by how I see they've wasted money in so many other examples. The government needs to learn to do with less, and it needs to start here in the town. Think of what we could do with the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we have to spend on the mitigation for Joshua trees when we built our pool, when we build our pickle courts, when we have to put in a sewer, when all that money comes out of your pocket in taxes. It's just not right.
All right. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, can you bring back the slide of the radius around that project that was in I believe, Story Park area? And of course, you could have found some that had a lot more and a lot less and so forth. And then, again, what was the total cost on that particular one, just for the incidental take?
The mitigation fees are $62,900.
So $62,900. And again, it doesn't count actually doing the work and doesn't count moving a tree. And I can understand paying a fee to have a tree removed or taken down because we want to protect Joshua trees. That makes sense. But to pay for a tree that's not being harmed is not right. $62,900 when it says the median household income in Yucca Valley is $55,000. So it costs more to do a project to put in safe water or to replace your septic tank. To be able to live in your home, it costs you a year's salary for the average person. We have a poverty rate of 19.2%. And the state of California talks about affordable housing. State of California talks about clean water, clean air. State of California wants us to do all these types of things, but then they throw these unreasonable hurdles in this whole idea. You talk about a legislative fix. I don't believe the staff at Fish and Game. I don't believe the board at Fish and Game. They had a study done. The staff said it was not a candidate for this, and the politicians on that board went ahead and made it a candidate species. So their own science at the beginning said, yes, Joshua trees are changing because of the global climate. They're starting to go into higher elevations. In Yucca Valley, we see time and time again Joshua trees populating. That's why there's more Joshua trees in Yucca Valley than in Joshua Tree, because we're a higher elevation. And we have also if we did a survey, if we had a botanist, if we paid a botanist to go out to every one of our projects where a septic line was put in, a sewer line was put in, a septic tank was put in, and a tree within 10 feet, 12 feet, within 50 feet, how many of those that we gave permits in the last 2 years have died or withered? That would be scientific evidence that what we've done has not damaged or hurt that Joshua tree that's 20 feet away, 10 feet away, 15 feet away. If there was a Joshua tree on the back side of that house, how can you tell me digging a trench is going to hurt the Joshua tree on the back side of that home? Now, also, you have this particular property. What if the landlord wanted to put a block wall or put a fence between their property? Would they be ground disturbing?
Yes.
And so then you got to draw another line from your fence onto the neighbor's properties all the way around for 50, to put in a $10,000, $5,000 fence. You're talking about 50, 30,000. You want to put a jacuzzi in your backyard, not ever close to a Joshua tree, but within 50 feet, you're paying for those mitigation fees too. What if you had to put a new light post in the middle of your yard, or outdoor light? What if you wanted to build a concrete driveway to your because it washes out and you want to do a driveway? All of those are ground disturbing. So it's not just the lady who makes $32,000 or $55,000 a year on a fixed income. It's not just affecting her, it's affecting each and every person along the way. And you're telling me the lady has a broken water line and now she can't live in her home? She's just lost her home because of this. So there's got to be something that's going on. Where I don't believe Fish and Game Department, that they have no flexibility because we have to have a legislative fix, they're the ones who came up with this 50-foot radius when that doesn't need to be 50 feet. Their biologist said, oh, the squirrel will take it within 50 feet. Well, my grandmother, her water line breaks, 2 days of trenching, if it takes 2 days, puts in a new line, covers it back up. That squirrel can plant those Joshua tree seeds everywhere and anywhere 2 days, 3 days later. And probably will plant more where the ground has been softened up than all the other places. So them saying they sticking with 50 feet is ridiculous. They could compromise right now today and make it 10 feet. And then the costs come way down. Might not be what we want, but they could do it without legislation because it's them. Legislators didn't say 50 feet. They came up with that. They're to blame, not the legislation. Fish and Game and their staff are to blame for what we're facing right now. And we're fighting for the people out here because each and every one of us love it. And the people in Story Park, the people in Juniper Terrace, they bought there and the developers protected the Joshua tree and didn't clean it up or clear it out like you see all these tract homes. They're the ones who really preserved the tree and now they're being punished. But the person who bought a tract home where they just leveled it out, oh, they can build a house tomorrow with no mitigation fees. So the person who developed and did a poor job gets rewarded. The conservationist, the person who loves Joshua trees, the person who bought the lot because of Joshua trees, is getting punished. Fish and Game is to blame. They should not be let off the hook. Yes, we need some legislation, but they should be held accountable, and they could change it at their next meeting to say, hey, listen, let's go 10 feet. Let's find some compromise. On public works projects, they could just say public works projects are exempt. You know, somebody has a utility need, that's exempt. Let the poor person with $50,000 income be able to bring water to their house and be able to use the sewer system. Okay, that's where I'm at, and I appreciate everybody who went online and spoke up for the citizens of Yucca Valley.
If I could clarify one point real quick.
Yes.
It's not going to make it better, but the 50 feet is in relation to the root zone damage. So the squirrel carrying the seed is 186 feet. And they've indicated that we should be appreciative that it's not 186 feet.
Thank you for that. I agree with everyone behind the dais here, and I'm disgusted by the whole thing, but I'm not going to really add it anymore. I think everybody said everything I think, and probably said it much better than I could, so I totally agree with the council. Anyway, I guess that's it then, so this is a receive and file, so I guess we'll do that. Thank you, Jared. Now we'll move on to item number 8, small collection facilities. And
Mayor
it's
and
Jared
Council,
again.
Mayor and Council,
Oh.
we would recommend that you continue this item this evening to your next regular meeting, based upon the length of meeting this evening, as well as the number of public comments that we have lined up this evening. There is no urgency on this matter at this point in time, so we'd recommend you continue this item over to your meeting of April 1.
So do we need to vote on that, or can we just continue it?
Typically, at Planning Commission, we would have a motion and a second to continue the matter over.
Okay, so, go ahead. I move to continue this to the next meeting.
And I'll second.
Councilmembers Abel?
Yes.
Dennison?
Yes.
Lombardo?
Yes.
Schooler?
Yes.
And Mayor Droz?
Yes. Next, we have General Plan Annual Report 2024.
The recommendation for this item is that the town council receives and files the general plan annual housing element progress report. I'll try and keep this one shorter. So this is just kind of some data for our local area that goes into the report, goes into how they calculate their various housing needs. One note, you'll see at the top that median family income, so that's for the entire household, has gone up from 82,000 to approximately 92,000. As Mayor Pro Tem Abel pointed out, Yucca Valley is significantly lower. This is for the Riverside, San Bernardino, Ontario Metropolitan Statistical Area. So that's why it is significantly higher, just to explain that difference. Yucca Valley had a projected population increase of 0.4%. Average is usually approximately 1% per year for most jurisdictions. So slight increase, which is more than the previous year, 2023, which was a 0.4% decrease. So we're back to zero on that. In 2024, there were 24 new single-family homes permitted. And in the fiscal year 23-24, there's 47 homes, 5 ADUs. And this fiscal year, 24-25, as of March 3rd, is 16 single-family homes permitted. I'm going to touch on some of the development code amendments we passed to bring our code up to compliance with our housing element. So the first amendment was for Chapter 9.07. In short, making it easier for supportive housing, easier for housing in general, making the review process simpler. If you want more detail, it's in the packet. 9.08, there's some conflicts with new state law with our old ADU ordinance. We repealed that ordinance in favor of just using the state law, so we don't have to worry about ongoing changes to our ordinance to stay current with state law. 9.09, similar to the first slide, this makes it slightly easier to go through the permitting process for social care facilities, things of that nature, a little bit simpler permit process. 9.10, which is the industrial chapter of the code, amended to allow emergency transitional housing by right, so they don't have to go through a CUP or a site plan review process. Again, simpler permitting process. 9.47, And I should note that they say recommended changes. We pulled these straight from the ordinances, so it's the language from these development code amendments. So these are not proposed, these are adopted currently. Again, more affordable housing makes it easier, faster, simpler. 9.48, again, easier, simpler process for emergency transitional housing where they can build it, the permitting process, simpler, easier, faster, again. And hopefully that wasn't too bad, but with that, the recommendation is that the town council receives and file, and we can answer questions following public comment.
Mayor, if I might just add one additional item before public comment. Again, we wanted to bring this to the council's attention really for the simple purpose of ensuring that the council as well as the public know that oftentimes your planning commission, your planning staff will be implementing changes where possible to follow the council's direction to ensure that we're doing everything we can to make development of single-family homes, housing in general, as easy as possible. There's often the direction from the council to ensure that we're doing everything we can to facilitate that process, to cut regulation, to make it easier to move forward with providing necessary housing. 24 homes in a fiscal year for a city of our size, 39 square miles, is not very much. And there's a significant need for additional housing. These regulations are things that we can help try and move forward in accordance with state law and some discretion that the town has. One of the things that you can't do here is Western Joshua Tree, and so that goes back to the previous conversation. But we're doing everything we can to try and streamline that process.
Thank you. So is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this? Anybody fill out a paper or anybody online? No? Anybody in the public sitting in a chair? Yeah, come on up. No, the microphone.
Okay. Hello? Yeah, I wanted to ask if there was any way if we could actually touch the matter of the small collection facilities, or is that going to be completely impossible tonight?
Would he have to wait till the end?
The council's continued that matter to April 1st.
Public comment, you can do that. That'll probably be in 10 minutes, I'm guessing. Just a wild guess.
In 10 minutes, I can comment on the small collection
You
facilities?
can comment on anything you like.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
So the governor wants
Back
us
to
to,
us.
yeah, the governor wants us to build ADUs without local control. But again, we can't do that because of the Joshua Tree. So how that helps with affordable housing, it doesn't. So perhaps maybe the governor's office is the one we need to lobby and talk to about, hey, Governor, you want these particular items. We have people that already have built on properties. It's not new development, it's current properties have already been developed. Maybe perhaps there could be an exemption from the Joshua Tree. And again, I say pay a good fine if you have to remove a tree, if it's in the way of the plans, but if it's not directly having to be removed, then you shouldn't be having to pay for a tree that's not harmed. So anyway, affordable housing is very important to all of us here as well.
Thank you. And anyone else? No,
Once again, I'm confused how the state, mandate changes to the building code to make things easier to build homes, and then the other side takes it away by making the Joshua Tree immutable and totally unreasonable. It's insanity, and we need to correct it. So we are working to try to get Sacramento to see some sense, and that's where it has to happen. Or they need to give us back local control so that we can make sense for what's good for our community. I think we had a workable plan before this all went haywire. We had a plan for saving our natural plants. We had mitigation fees for those that had to be destroyed, which I agree with Councilman Abel that, if you have to take a tree out, maybe there should be a fee, but it should not be thousands and thousands of dollars per project. That's just crazy. And then not knowing where that money goes is even worse, because I don't trust them anymore.
Well, we make sense, but they see dollars, so.
Yeah, $50, $60. What you buy a tree at the Home Depot for,
Anyway, this is anyone else? No? Okay, this is a receive and file, so thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jared, for your work. There's a lot of stuff.
Thank you.
And now we go on to Senior Center Closure Program Relocation Update.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to invite Nina McCullough, our Senior Center staff lead, up to the podium. We'll tag team this very quick report. So we wanted to come back, report on our program relocation. And the recommendation is that the Town Council receive and file the report. And as we mentioned in your staff report, Town Council instructed staff to relocate senior center programs here to the community center and the former library location during the senior center remodel, and we have accomplished that. Mentions here, we got the FSA congregate lunch service. FSA is doing an amazing job, so we want to give a shout out to those county partners. The lunch count is down a little bit. Nina, you want to just talk about that a little bit? It's rebounding now, right? I think that odd February calendar threw them off.
It is rebounding. We were a little bit low. We've had a lot of sickness with the senior community, and also some of our seniors during our 2-week closure decided to visit the Joshua Tree location, and so they're kind of splitting their time now between Yucca Valley and Joshua Tree. But we are starting to see the increase come back to the lunch program, demonstrated by our St. Patty's Day luncheon. We had like 97 participants, so that's boosted back up again.
And you're continuing the bingo's going well, thrift store part, you have those
all of our normal classes are seeing regular participation with their numbers. Bingo has 85 plus every Friday for bingo. So our balance classes are full with 18 participants, and a lot of our wellness programs are full. They filled the Yucca room, so I don't know what we're going to do when we go back to the senior center, because we're filling this room every day with our classes that are being transferred over to the Yucca room here.
And caseworker services, maybe you could talk a little bit about that, and then how is the bus service working out?
Bus service is fine. We haven't changed anything with the bus service, only to pick up and drop off location, so we have no issues with the bus service. Caseworker program, or our caseworkers, our tax services, our tech time, any of our one-on-one type services, we're seeing continuous people making appointments for those services as well.
Right. And you have a designated space in the new location for those activities.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk just for a moment about the food pantry? I know it moved from in front of the senior center to the north side.
The north side of the parking lot is the home of the food pantry. The food pantry is provided by Community Action Partnership in conjunction with the town of Yucca Valley. We provide that for not only just for the seniors, but it is open to the whole community, and it's for the third Thursday every month, so it's a monthly program.
And participation is running normal?
Normal.
Which is about 95 or
we're over that. Last time we had about 145, so our numbers are high on that.
Great. And talk a little bit about the calendar. It looks like it's back to normal.
Back to normal.
Mm-hmm. So that encourages the seniors to come back. They don't see that little closure period we had. And this is a little shot of our new dining room. Up there at the former library facility, and then FSA's just been great. They're doing food service. You can see that down below. Everything's working out just fine. We have the other activities as well. You see down there, we've relocated the senior center staff offices as well. Different activities going on. What is this event?
That was what we called our Plant a Plant Day. So we had different plants that were donated, and they had the opportunity to pick out their own pots, plant their plants, and be able to take those home and take care of them. And we had 35 participants on that. That was kind of like our first little event to have at the new temporary facility.
Yeah, and that was located in the little activity space that
We're
you
calling that our
created.
activity space, so that's where we held that.
And that's where the balanced classes and some of the other classes take place. And just coming up, we just wanted to inform the council that the Youth Commission event, the Senior Spring Fling, is coming up. And how's the ticket sales on
We
that?
have 8 tickets left, so we've sold almost 100 tickets for the dance. It's coming up this Saturday night, provided by the Youth Commission. It'll be here in the Yucca room, starting at 5 o'clock.
Wow.
And our partners with FSA are providing the meals for that, so they planned a good meal for that.
Yeah, terrific. And so if you're wondering what was going on at the senior center, there's no turning back now. Nina and I are happy to answer any questions after public comment.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the public online? No? Anybody sitting in a seat in the public? Want to say anything? Let's bring it back to the council, but I'm going to start and say thank you, Nina. This morning we had soda with the mayor.
Yes.
And you set all that up, and we do that every 4 weeks that everybody here, if you ever want to come, we do it, the second council meeting of the month in the morning at 9 a.m. And you can ask me questions, or Nina was our guest today, and she informed everybody pretty much what you saw here, and it was great. And we had probably about 20 people there, but I'd say 5 of them were there because they wanted to talk about the Joshua Tree issue. So just to fit that back into the conversation. But thank you, Nina. And anybody else have questions or comments?
Sure. You guys are doing a great job for having to adjust on the fly and adapt to a new facility. I stopped in there and took a look, and it looked smooth. It's amazing that you keep the numbers up, too. I mean, the numbers are incredible, and then you keep them up with this transition. I think you're doing a great job. It speaks for itself, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nina, for all the work over there. And Sue for, organizing all of it. It really didn't affect the rest of the community center very much.
No.
I've been into the new location for the senior center a couple of times, walked around just at random, asking them, how's it going? How's the meals? And everybody's just happy. They're very happy over there, just as
They seem very
always are.
happy.
A lot of socializing, a lot of elbow room, and they still have the thrift store there. And I think it was, the Big Hand that's inside of there. There was this big, I guess it's made out of concrete. I'm going, how did they move that? At least it looks heavy. I didn't touch it. But but it's nice because they were very passionate about that. Many times came to the council and spoke about the importance of the thrift store they had to help others that associate within that, that club. So great work.
Thank you.
Anyone on my right?
Yeah, I just want to say, great work, Nina. It's nice that we have such an active senior community. It's been a little while since I've been there. I went with my mother-in-law, and she really enjoyed it and has asked, when am I going back? But she lives down in San Diego area, so we don't get her up here too often. But it was a lot of fun, and I would so much rather see the money that we're spending on Joshua Trees go to senior centers and senior activities and things like this. This is what makes our community strong. And I'm very thrilled to see this kind of stuff and the art that's happening in the community and the enthusiasm in those things. I'd rather be on the positive side of things, and I think that what you're doing is really worthwhile. Thank you for your efforts.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the staff. I did also go and visit the senior center to see how it looked. I was afraid it was going to be a cold vanilla box over there, and it was very warm. We did some painting, we put up artwork. I mean, it looks better than it's looked in a long, long time. So it looked like it was well thought out. You guys paid attention to detail. I feel like the seniors feel really welcome there. I had a very good feeling when I was in there talking with people and seeing the food that was being served. It was very inviting. They're going to also enjoy what we do to the senior center when they return, but you've made a very good home for them, and you could tell you were there's a gift of hospitality, and you've got that, and your staff has it. So congratulations, thank you.
You're welcome, and we have to thank our staff and FSA and the senior club, and my partners are, we all work together, so we all came together to make that happen.
Thank you, Nina. We appreciate it. And this is a receive and file, so we're going to move on. Before public comment, though, we have, are there any future agenda items that the council would like to bring up?
Mayor, Council, if I might just give you a quick update on a couple of items coming your way.
Sure.
Following your direction this evening, we'll be returning back to you with the entry monumentation as a continued item. Your small collection facilities discussion this evening was continued to your next meeting. The council provided direction to town council or to town staff to perform an operational review of your animal shelter operations. We anticipate coming back to the council in April with your first interim update on that. And then lastly, we will likely keep the Western Joshua Tree on the agenda occasionally as it is deemed necessary to make sure that we're staying engaged with this item and keeping the community engaged with this item. So those are some of the items coming up on your future agendas.
Okay, thank you. And I see no future agenda items, so let's move on. I got to put my glasses on and I better read this. Okay, this is public comment, so anybody can comment now. And the town council takes this time to consider your comments on items of concern which are not on the agenda. When you are called to speak, please state your name and community of residence. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Inappropriate behavior which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting will result in forfeiture of your public comment privileges. The town council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussion items not on the printed agenda. So you're here just to tell us what you want to tell us, and we might respond possibly when we make our comments later. So
Point of order. Mayor, since the one gentleman came for the small collections facilities, and that was on the agenda, I would ask that we would entertain the motion to have him speak first.
Sure, I'll second that.
Okay.
Freddie Gutierrez, would you like to come up and speak on that item?
Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Honorable Mayor and members of the Town Council. My name is Freddie Gutierrez, and I am an owner of EcoGen Recycling, LLC. It was our application for a special use permit for a small collection facility that is the origin of the Planning Commission's request for review of the Development Code. Our application met, without variance, all of the physical requirements of the special use process. We were caught by surprise when the corridor residential overlay was invoked to deny our application, since we also met all of the requirements of the underlying commercial zoning. We strongly urge you to modify the terms of the corridor residential overlay to permit a well-regulated CRV collection center in a manner consistent with California law. The citizens of Yucca Valley deserve easy and convenient locations for redeeming their bottles and cans. In fact, the state refers to these areas that companies like ours serve as convenience zones, and long-standing practice has put these facilities near grocery stores and other major sellers of products in CRV containers. We also recommend that the terms of the special use permit be revised to once again allow facilities up to at least 500 square feet. This will permit you, the town, to require the use of a front end to the casual collection containers, thus significantly improving the appearance and functionality of the facility. The current limitation on size makes it impossible to include this important aesthetic and functional enhancement. I am happy to respond to technical questions regarding the CRV collection business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Is there,
So-
yeah, oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry, we have plenty of cards here so far to speak. So first is Cheryl Contopoulos, and then Cynthia Lopez, you're on deck.
Thank you.
thank you for your comments. Okay.
Good evening. I think this is my fourth time here since June, and the other times I spoke to things that I had personal experience with. But I'm a numbers person, and I greatly appreciated seeing the flyer to increase the rescues that the shelter will work with. When I looked at the list of 60 whatever, I noticed some are for a particular type of animals or they're no longer in existence. One of the rescues that the shelter works with is Best Friends. So I went to Best Friends to pull up some data for 2024 since the shelter report in June was for 2023. And I also gave a copy if you wanted to look at the numbers. So looking at local shelters, which to me makes a lot more sense to compare to than other places in California, especially those that may not have very good numbers. So I looked at Redlands, and I'm only going to quote for the dogs, but they also have cats. So Redlands, 92% save rate. Riverside County, 76% save rate. San Bernardino City, sorry, I need reading glasses, 81% save rate. San Bernardino County, this would include Devore and Big Bear, which, as you know in the past, have had very poor rates. Their save rate is 74% now for dogs. Sorry, bad printer. Palm Springs, which as you know used to be a high kill and is no longer a high kill. Save rate, 97%. DHS, which is local and Morongo Valley has to deal with a lot of they did not post all of their numbers. All they have is the total animals, 651, total pets saved, 591. That's a 91% rate. 29 Palms, which is comparable to our local shelter. They had entering dogs, 769 dogs. Total dogs saved, 468. That's the 61% rate that they have been quoted doing recently. Yucca Valley, dogs entering, 913. It's a little bit less than the year before. Dogs saved, 366. Now, what's that percent? 40% saved. Cats, there's no cats posted right now on Pet Finder for them. Cats saved 105, giving them a 29% rate. Thank you for your efforts. I'm encouraged to hear an April 1st update.
Thank you.
Cynthia Lopez, and then Christine Bostrom.
Let's see. Do I need to press? No, I don't. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hello, Mayor Drozd and council members. My name is Cynthia Lopez, and I'm an 8-year Yucca Valley resident. This is a statement that my boyfriend and I put together about the Walmart dog. My boyfriend, Greg Gendron, who you may know from all the emails you've been getting, and I have been trying to help this specific dog since February 25th that was picked up from Walmart and taken to the Yucca Valley Animal Shelter. Our intention since the beginning has been to get the Walmart dog out of the shelter as soon as possible, since the shelter is under review for their extremely high kill rate, low adoptions, and lack of transparency. From the beginning, when the dog first went in, we have been led to believe 3 things by the shelter staff. 1, that there is a microchip registered owner from out of town. 2, that the Walmart dog was stolen 1 year ago. 3, that a random community member had come forward also claiming to be the owner. This random community member has been identified as an unknown homeless man by an extremely large audience of community members on social media that see him and the Walmart dog around town, as well as many Walmart employees that see him visit the store frequently. All we have experienced all along in calling the shelter for status updates is a very rude staff, little to no information given when asking about the Walmart dog status, and complete contradictory stories of how they are handling him. So much contradictory that the town of Yucca Valley felt the need to put out a press release on March 12th in an attempt to clear up any misinformation with the concerned community. The press release that was put out on March 12th stated, 1, the registered owner had abandoned the dog. 2, the dog was sick and getting treatment. 3, upon recovery would be evaluated to see if he was suitable for adoption. The very next day, March 13th, when we called the shelter, a staff member told us they released the Walmart dog to someone other than the registered owner, and it wasn't the homeless guy, quote, it wasn't the homeless guy. We asked how that could be, and he would not, the staff would not give us any further information that would explain that statement. In light of all the conflicting information we've been given on an almost daily basis, we find this hard to believe. We fear the Walmart dog has already been euthanized. The Walmart dog story of the shelter releasing him is now all over social media and news outlets, and it is totally contradictory to what was put out with the press release. Since February 25th, up until today, we have plastered social media with pictures and posts asking for people to come forward with any information about who they know the owner to be. Now we are asking if anybody knows where the Walmart dog actually is. We'd like proof that the Walmart dog is alive and safe, and that the Walmart dog went to the owner he was legally supposed to go to. Thanks a lot.
Christine Bostrom, and then we'll have Robin Celia.
Hi, my name is Christine. I have
Hold the
lived
mic
in Yucca
closer.
Valley 53 years.
Oh, we
Hold the
can't
mic
hear
closer,
you.
please.
Or turn it on, yeah.
Okay.
On.
Does it have a green light on
It
it?
does.
Okay, go ahead.
I know the shelter is not on the agenda today. I think it should be on every meeting with updates. I'd like to know what is being done and who is in charge of the 90-day review. I don't believe in witch hunts, but I do believe in accountability for your actions. Whoever was and is in charge of what I would call a slaughter of innocent lives, nearly 50% or more of our shelter animals, needs to be accountable for it and removed from the position and not allowed to go anywhere else to continue this killing practice. He or she or they should not be allowed around animals, let alone in charge of their lives and well-being. This person or people has killed hundreds, maybe thousands of lives for we don't know how long. They clearly do not care about animals and never should have been put in charge of them. This is shameful. It's shameful. Killing adults and babies. I believe this is a crime and there should be severe consequences. And if it's not, it should be because it's sinful. Let me just say what I believe a shelter should be and can be. Any shelter, it could be a place a person or an animal can go when they are homeless, in danger, and need help with safety, food, kindness, and training to transition back into society. The people running it should be kind, warm, compassionate, and helpful. It should be a safe place. That's not our shelter. This animal shelter has become a place for half of the animals to go to die, for we don't know how long. Again, I'm going to say, the Best Friends Animal Society is there for animals and for us. They are holding a no-kill shelter summit in Pomona on April 5th. You can register online. You all can go and maybe require the shelter staff to attend. You will learn the tools you need to achieve a no-kill shelter. You will learn how to have safe volunteering from our community with help for social media, online help, and help with funding. You'll learn how to have adoption events and hopefully ways to spay and neuter at reasonable prices. This is not unattainable. It's already being done all across this country. You just have to care enough, put the right people in place, and be willing to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robin Celia, and then V. Kinderlich.
Hi there. My name is Robin Celia. I've lived in Joshua Tree for 20-something years. 18 of those years, I was the owner and operator of Pappy and Harriet's in Pioneer Town. What Christine was just saying is exactly what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I don't know if you're all aware, but Best Friends is the largest no-kill animal sanctuary in America. They approached Yucca Valley twice to help. Twice they were told no, so they went to 29 Palms. The reason why you guys are all hearing about how much better 29 Palms is doing is because they've partnered with Best Friends, and they have open minds, and the staff wanted to learn and grow. Joshua Tree No Kill Shelter is now partnering with Best Friends. For them to say, for the Yucca Valley to say no, that doesn't make any sense to me. If I was a shelter manager, I would have said yes before they even asked. I mean, it's a win-win. It's literally the largest no-kill sanctuary, and all they wanted to do is help, and what I was told was the door was shut in their face twice. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that Best Friends did try to help. And I think it's really hard sometimes for people to realize that they just need the help. And, you know, Yucca Valley needs the help badly with the shelter. Thanks.
Thank you, Robin.
V. Kindelich, and then we'll have Eva Francis.
I'm still eating her time. Can we reset the clock? Ah, cool. Hi. Thank you very much. You know, I can be one of the most cynical people, and I have a wicked sense of humor. But the fact is, in this day and age, I think good executives, good managers focus on positivity. They focus on what can happen. I'm not a person that does well listening to negativity and this is a problem and this is a problem and they're a problem. So I'm going to focus on the positive of the shelter. You just heard a young lady talk about the fact that Best Friends offered for free to help. Last meeting, 2 weeks ago, Palm Springs shelter representative said, call me, I'll help. She also corrected the fact that the software doesn't cost $40,000, it's $0. So I'm trying to figure out, I spent a good portion of my day thinking, what in God's name could I say to you guys that would actually make a difference? Mr. Lombardo, I have to say I was impressed. The fact you seem to be the only person that got us 2 weeks ago. I really felt that when you shared, everybody, I've never gone to a meeting where everybody has to share after every topic, but you actually said, hey, do you think we could put a moratorium on the euthanasia? Have no idea where that went, but you got it. But you got it. Okay. And I want to thank you for that. Because you know what? This is not our job. A lot of us have very extensive corporate backgrounds, probably more than a lot of people. But we're here and sitting through 3 hours of a lot of duplication. With all due respect, we heard the exact same Joshua Tree conservation thing last week or 2 weeks ago. We sat politely, and here we are. So I want to share briefly volunteering. When I lived in Northern California, this is how it worked. Oh, blank, nobody showed up. Or Sacramento had a picket one time, a strike. We just all showed up. There was no volunteer manager. There were no releases. I showed up and they're like, I'm like, what do you want me to do? And they're like, clean the cat room. And I'm like, okay. And one volunteer helped another. So I really want to, and I could go on for hours of my volunteer work and bottle feeding kittens. And, you know, we have to focus on positivity and stop putting roadblocks up. Take the help, take the direction. And I want to just, you know, people will sue for anything now. I know that we keep talking about liability and this and that. Starbucks just got a $50 million. Another person burned their crotch with coffee. And we just had a burn your crotch coffee with McDonald's like 5 to 10 years ago. So we're not going to control that. So whoever is the town attorney, I'm going to use her 30 seconds. Please be open-minded. you know? And the last thing I want to appeal as a Christian, okay? There's a lot of Christians, I think, on this. Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, watching over them, not because you must, but because you are willing, as God wants you to be. Not pursuing dishonest gain, but eager to serve. Peter 5:2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ava Francis, and then James Porter, you're on deck.
Got it. Go ahead, you can do it.
My name is Ava Francis. I have lived here for 14 years. I am an 8th grade student at La Cantena. I am in leadership and honor society. During my time in these classes, my classmates and I have made posters of the dogs and cats of the Joshua Tree No-Kill Shelter to raise awareness and help them find forever homes. We have also organized a donation drive to help the shelter get food and other necessities. Along with that, we have made blankets for the dogs and cats. I have been a volunteer at the Joshua Tree No-Kill Animal Shelter for a year and a half now. I love going out and walking the dogs and socializing them. It really helps them come out of their shells and be great dogs, which shows people that they can be really great companions. So I don't really understand why there are no volunteer programs for the Yucca Animal Shelter. It really helps people see how great these dogs can really be. And during them being able to walk or just spend time with the dogs, they can really form bonds with them and maybe even bring them home or recommend them for other people. I have walked dogs and met dogs at the no-kill shelter that have been really scared and hesitant around other people. And after people socializing them and showing them that they can trust other people, they have gone to really great homes soon after. Being able to volunteer has really made great impacts on the dogs. If they made a program at the Yucca shelter, I would love to start volunteering, as it is truly great for the dogs and has great benefits. We would like to know why there is no volunteer program, as it is really beneficial for the animals.
Thank you.
James Porter, and then Candy Moulton.
Hi, everybody. Again, James Porter, Yucca Valley resident for 40 years. So the last two meetings that I've come and talked, we've talked about concerns with the shelter. Tonight, I'm going to offer you a couple solutions that I hope the town will listen to. Before I do, I'm going to remind the crowd that we have a responsibility to come every 2 weeks to this. Bring your friends. Please be present. Don't let the grinding of government wear you down. This is an important topic, and the more of us who show up and the more of us who talk, the more we get through to our government. So please keep being here every 2 weeks, until you're satisfied that this has been resolved. Second, I'm going to ask our town council and our town management staff to put this on the agenda every meeting. Ask for an update every 2 weeks that tells us how many dogs came in, how many were euthanized, and how many found other resolutions. Every 2 weeks. I demand it as a citizen, and I'm going to ask every person here to ask all of you to do that. If we can hear about the Western Joshua Tree every 2 weeks, we can hear how many dogs are coming into the shelter. Okay, solutions. So first off, we need better outreach, absolutely better outreach. So I did a little study here of my own, pulled some data. So between February 22nd and March 12th, Yucca Valley should have brought in about 55 dogs based on their average daily admittance rate. One dog was listed on the shelter's Facebook page, and currently there are only 11 dogs on Pet Finder, which seems to be the primary online vehicle that the town uses to advertise dogs that are adoptable. If the goal of the shelter is to bring in folks who want to adopt dogs or to reunite dogs with their owners, those dogs have to be viewable somewhere. And making people drive to the shelter is antiquated. We have social media and we can do much better outreach. If 55 dogs came into the shelter in the last 20-ish days and only one is listed on Pet Finder, it makes me ask, what happened to the other 54? Where are they today? Why are they not listed? And if they're not listed because they're euthanized, we should probably know about that. So let me offer one other solution. Time goes fast, as you guys know, talking up here. There's something that can be done tomorrow, immediately, right now, at no cost and with virtually no expensive staff time, and that is an urgent rescue list. And let me tell you why that's so important. Virtually every shelter that euthanizes animals puts out an urgent rescue list to let people know what animals are up for imminent euthanization. It is one of the most valuable tools that San Bernardino County Animal Control used to bring down their euthanization numbers. I did a public records request, and in 2024, 1,922 animals were put on the urgent rescue list for the county. They released that to rescues at 4 p.m., release it to the public at 5 p.m. every day. 854 of those dogs went to rescue, 328 were adopted, 23 went to owners, and 4 were transferred. 66% of the animals on that list did not die. If Yucca Valley were to implement that one simple step, you could expect that your euthanization rate would drop to 15%, and about 300 more dogs a year would find a safe home. Thank you.
Candy Moulton, and then Allie Irwin.
Hi, my name's Candy. I want to talk on 2 subjects. One is exactly everything he said, dittos. But I want to accentuate one item that isn't talked about much. Why they're not giving dogs anesthesia before they're euthanized. To me, that's unconscionable. We've all had to be with a pet when we've had to put them down. I can't imagine. I mean, I could probably look up a description of what it's like and read it into the record, and you'd all be in tears. So I won't do that, but you can only imagine. The other is that the numbers are so bad here that I just don't think Yucca Valley wants to be famous for this. I think they want something so much better. And I'm afraid that the reputation is so tarnished now, I don't even know if it can be repaired. The trust is broken, and something drastic needs to be done to restore trust. That's just the nature of trust. Okay, that's on the shelter. The other is Joshua trees. I think we need to be sounding that alarm very loudly, getting the word out, grassroots efforts, petitions. It's kind of a kept low thing going on right now. It needs to be loud, and everybody needs to know, because our town is at risk of dying. People cannot spend $40,000. They don't have it. They have to walk away from, I'm one of them. I would have to walk away from my home. I'm in that level of income, and I have a 50, 60-year-old home. Thank God I'm already on the sewer, but if I wasn't, I couldn't afford what the next group has to do. I couldn't do it. So I don't know what the plan is for that. Anyway, so I did, some friends started a Facebook page, and we're getting proactive at the grassroots level, trying to get as much information out and the people to contact to tell them how outraged you are. And I just noticed Lee Zeldin is one that I think we ought to just constantly on the national level, because he's not liking what's going on with all these environmental groups and the way that they're trying to harass us and bully us. And I think he might help us, but keep doing what you're doing. I know you want to sound the alarm. Just make it a little louder, ramp it up, and let's win this fight. That's all.
Marilee Kachan, and then we'll have Christy Carter.
Hi, third time back, 20-plus year Yucca Valley resident. I worked 12 hours this morning, ran home to walk my dogs up on the mesa. Been sitting here ever since. I haven't eaten, I'm exhausted. I have to go back to work after this. But this is so important to me and to our community that I can't not be here. Sitting through everything else. I understand this is how town runs. I understand these are issues we need to deal with. We're talking about life and death of animals. I loved the idea of pausing euthanization since we have a giant, apparently empty shelter. Y'all talk about common sense a lot tonight, about efficiency. talking about the Joshua Tree. Common sense tells me there are so many people in our community interested in this issue, committed to this issue, devastated by this issue, that it should be on the agenda every week. You should respect your constituents and give us time to speak. That's not at the end of the night. That's not an afterthought. We would like a report. We would like to know what's happening. We would like to know what happened to the Walmart dog. You all posted it on your Facebook. I made a comment. I tagged you, Jeff. I tagged the town of Yucca Valley. I said, can we get some follow-up here? It's been, I think, 3 days now. No one has ever written back on that post. I don't know who manages that social media, but maybe they also work for the shelter. I don't know, because that's not great communication. But yeah, efficiency, common sense tells me this is an issue that we need to keep talking about, and you guys need to be talking about with us, because it's horrifying, and it's life and death. And I don't know if pets mean the same to you, animals mean the same to you as they do to a lot of us here. But I mean, I'm crying at these stories, and I have to go home and feed my dogs now. So thanks for listening. I want you to listen harder and do more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christy Carter, and then we'll have Tora Edwards.
How do I do this?
Just speak.
When does, okay. Hi, I'm Christy Carter. I'm a resident of Yucca Valley. I've covered Wonder Valley, 29 Palms, Yucca Valley. I've been here for almost 20 years. One thing I want you to do, if you would, and I'll email you as well, I'd recommend you look into the Northern California Stockton shelter case. The city of Stockton and the shelter were taken to court over the kind of issues that we're facing right now. The outcome was they settled. The shelter employees, the whole place was rotated, and no problems now. Everything's great. So anyways, I'd love you if you could look at that. One thing I forgot to mention the first meeting, talking about my trauma with the shelter, was when I finally got little Jake out of there with the rescue, and I took him to the doctor because he had a cough. I had to take him to Palm Springs because you know how it is up here. It was all booked up. So I take him to Palm Springs, and I brought the paperwork that they gave me of what they had done. And the doctor was like, what the heck is this? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, I don't even understand why they gave him these shots. They gave him a COVID-19 shot. They gave him weird shots. I lost the paper. I don't know where it is. I looked everywhere in my house for it this week, and I'm very upset that I can't find it because I would love to show you. Now, I don't know if there's some way that you guys could request to see some of these, what they're doing there, what they're giving these dogs and cats, but maybe that would be part of the investigation, is to look into that. There's a lot of information spreading around town, and we all know, you know how it is, it's small. So I cried to sleep when I heard about the euthanasia situation. It's BS, and it needs to stop. It's cruelty. We're better than that. Please, please, please help us. Let's get this going in the right direction and do the right thing for these animals. It's not okay. And that's all I can say.
Thank you.
Tora Edwards.
Good evening. I am Tora Edwards. I have run a nonprofit dog rescue in Yucca Valley for the last 10 years. I have done rescue in this area for 14 years. I am here to make sure that you guys know, yes, we are making a presence. I do like these ideas of being on the agenda every 2 weeks. I also, yes, I also came to say, yes, there does need to be advisory committee for all these great ideas like moratorium on euthanasia, all the things we want for these animals. How do we do this? How do we implement these changes? There does need to be advice from people who are professionals, like Best Friends, who are very famous for what they do. There needs to be accountability towards that this advice is being taken and listened to and used. And like this forum coming up, a good way to learn from the professionals. This, okay, in these times we're living right now, there will be a lot of animals given up, okay? This is going to happen. There will be dogs, cats, horses, all the animals we love. All animals, as anyone who's ever loved an animal knows, they have a full range of emotions, just like any human. These dogs and cats and horses and all the other animals deserve our concern, our compassion. When they are at the shelter, yes, when they are euthanized, they are dragged to this room because they know what that room is going to hold for them. They know. They are dragged fighting. Okay, they are euthanized without pain management and with no one to grieve them. So yes, these things do need to be thought about when dogs get sick, like at Devore, where I have pulled many dogs when Doug Smith was there as a nonprofit dog rescue partnered with Devore. When dogs would get sick, they are not treated. They are euthanized. That's the way of treating them to try to stop, because kennel cough is rampant and it morphs into a very virulent disease for these dogs really quickly and kills really quickly. So their method, oftentimes, most times, was to kill the dog. So rescue-only dogs were the dogs that I got out because I'm a rescue. I can get those dogs where the public will never see those dogs. A lot of those dogs were just scared when they came in, and they're deemed rescue-only. As I said this 2 weeks ago, those dogs came to my rescue. They were able to heal, and they were able to be adopted. They are able to be adopted, these dogs that are rescue-only, so that we know that. Thank you for your time tonight. Again, I just want to make sure that we have all my points here. I think I do. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to Wonder Valley. My own gas, my own time. All my work is in service for all these years. I fund almost all of my own rescue by myself. I'm going to Wonder Valley to pick up a family of 5 dogs. 3 are puppies, 4 to 5 months old. 3 of them females will be getting spayed tomorrow morning, and all the dogs will be getting vaccines. None of them are vaccinated. They can die of any time of parvo. I do this work because I care. Let's all care. We can do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the cards I have.
Okay, thanks. Is there, okay, there's someone online.
We have 2 people requesting online comments, starting with Allie Irwin, followed by Deborah Savitt. Allie Irwin, I request you to unmute. You have 3 minutes. We'll come back to you. Deborah Savitt, I request you to unmute. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, I feel like I'm in tears just hearing everybody's comments. But I want to talk a second about Joshua trees and then go into animals. I get a little upset. Look, I really like a lot of things you are doing on the town council. You do a lot of good work. But there's some things I just disagree with. And you know I disagree with the Joshua trees. Not the 50 feet thing. I think that is wrong. And you know why. It's just too hard to accommodate that and too expensive. But for quite a while there, you're not following the plant codes on the trees. And that's why I went up to the CFW in this California Fish and Game. I know because I audited over 200 permits and you guys did not get all the photos You had Mary sign off on them, so I get really tired of hearing you say how terrible that is when you could have avoided that if you just followed the plant codes. The CFW had to take control over that. And the public doesn't know this, but this was put out in 5 newspapers. Sorry, guys. I love the senior center and I love some of the things you're doing. I agree with the 50 feet thing. It's wrong. But I got to make that clear. I'm tired of hearing those comments. I'm also a cat lady. I do appreciate the email you sent on reaching out to the public. I think that's a very good step forward. So thank you for that you're looking for nonprofits to help. I would like to help with that. I just do feel very sad with the high kill shelters. Animals are beautiful beings, and we need to respect and honor them, just like our plants are also beautiful and help us to live. So I'm here to say, let's save the animals. I love the cats. Let's save the cats and dogs, and keep moving forward with what you're doing. I think it's great, and I think asking for the public for health is a beautiful thing. So thank you for that. I agree with Tora to have an advisory committee. I think it's James that spoke earlier. Once every 2-week report would be great. And it makes the public more aware. You're putting it out there on the table, what's going on. It sounds like you're willing to do that. So I just want to say I appreciate that and I acknowledge that. But I wish you quit bad mouthing the trees, because I think if you would have handled that to begin with, it wouldn't have went up to the CFW. So don't equate that to trying to save money to the community. That I think you failed on. And on that note, I hope you have a good evening and thank you very much.
Thank you, Deborah.
Allie Irwin, I've requested to unmute. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, in Joshua Tree. I love James Porter's idea to put the shelter on the agenda every 2 weeks for an update so we can know numbers, incoming, outgoing. That would be really helpful to us. Another thing that was super helpful were the press releases that you sent since the meeting 2 weeks ago. The Walmart dog also got coverage in the newspaper. And I'm really saddened to hear that we do not know the standing, what happened to the dog, and people are really concerned. So that's not so great. So we'd like an update on that as well. Press release about the seeking 625 new rescue possibilities is super great. I thank you for that. Want to call attention to something on your website, the Animal Shelter Satisfaction Survey. This is new to me. I just happened to notice it. You click a link and it says the survey is forwarded to the town council and the manager. And my question is, I know you can't answer right now, but I believe those responses, as you're collecting them, should definitely be part of this 90-day review you're doing. And I'm very curious to know if you have results compiled already and in the past, and how long you've been aware of the problems. Also noting that those surveys have to be printed out and mailed or hand delivered. There's no email option, so I'm not sure on turnaround time and accessibility with that. Also, the Best Friends Summit, the Southern California Bring No Kill Home Summit, is April 5th in Pomona. It's $25 for the workshop, and someone very well outlined what was going to be on the agenda for a path to a no-kill, and it would be fantastic if someone on staff or a volunteer could attend and learn. And so I appreciate the seeming transparency you're going for. I appreciate the efforts. It's still not enough, and I think that putting it on the agenda every 2 weeks and working together and continuing to listen is good. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else in the audience, in the public? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Let's move on to staff report and comments.
Captain, nothing? Deborah? Jessica, you want to talk about this weekend's event?
Yeah, I'll make this quick. This Saturday, March 22nd, from 8 to 12, the town and Burtech are hosting a community cleanup event. And this year, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to also be hosting a free self-serve compost giveaway at that event as well. So we hope anybody who has some extra junk, spring cleaning is almost here, so clean out your yard, clean out your garage, and get an opportunity to get rid of that stuff, and it can be properly recycled. We advertise this event in the radio, or on the radio, in the newspaper, on our social media platforms, and in the Last Town newsletter. For those items that cannot be accepted at the community cleanup event, I want to remind everybody that they can take them to the household hazardous waste facility in Joshua Tree. That is open every third Saturday of the month from 9 to 1. And that is located at 62499 29 Palms Highway. And I also wanted to let you know that we're planning a second community cleanup event in October. And this will also be a dual event where it's a community cleanup and a free paper shredding event as well. So that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jessica. Alex or Sue, you good? Okay. Shane?
Mayor and Council, just very briefly, as we have indicated this evening, staff will be bringing some interim information to the council at your first meeting in April on the shelter analysis as requested by the council. There will be some pretty extensive information, all related to operational metrics. Euthanasia rates, adoption rates, rescue groups, volunteer groups, software options, all of those different types of things that go into the operation of a shelter. So the council will be receiving that first interim report at your first meeting in April. Second, for an update on the Walmart dog. So the Walmart dog, when picked up by field staff, animal control field staff, was microchipped. As required by state law, we are obligated to attempt to reach out and find the owner per the microchip. That process was successful. The owner was contacted. They did not return phone calls, but they were contacted via mail. They made contact with the shelter. They indicated they would be coming to the shelter to pick up the dog before the deadline. That did not occur. So the microchipped owner was a no-show and did not meet the required timeline. So the Walmart dog was put into our adoption process. As part of that adoption process, the dog became sick, it was sent to a vet, it was put under treatment, brought back to the shelter. In that time period, an individual came forward that had documentation to prove prior physical ownership of the dog. As required by law, we are mandated to provide that owner who documented prior ownership the opportunity to retrieve that dog from the shelter by paying the return to owner fees. That individual paid the return to owner fees per the town's fee schedule. The owner was advised of the medical condition of the dog, the medicines, prescriptions that the veterinarian had supplied. The owner acknowledged that information. The dog and the owner were united in the parking lot at the animal shelter. There was definitely a relationship between that dog and the owner, as you saw the interaction occur between the two. For those that doubt that information, you can file a public records request for the records of the Walmart dog. The names, the contact information, the address, the phone numbers will be redacted, as we do for anyone who adopts a dog from our shelter, as we do for anyone who relinquishes a dog to the shelter, as we do for any public record, any portion of a public record that's considered confidential information and not available for public release. So you can file that public records request to get copies of those documents. The dog was not euthanized. The dog was returned to an individual who had physical ownership of the dog prior to coming to the shelter. concludes staff's comments. Be happy to answer any other questions.
All right, that's it. So let's go to council member reports and comments. Council member Dennison.
Shut it off, sorry. I want to thank everyone for coming out again. Very passionate about your concern for our pets and how they're managed in our communities. So that's obvious, and I do respect all of your comments. I take notes every week. I do get a lot of group emails that go to a lot of people that I'm included in. And just so you know, I don't generally respond to group emails. If you want to get a hold of me, you can directly just send me an email. Once again, as always, the clerk, if you can't get a hold of me through email, she can give any of you my number. It's wide open. That's okay with me. And I don't also, there was some mention of social media, and I don't respond on social media either. But there are lots of ways. I have an email address directly at the town. You can find it. I would love to chat with anyone that wants to continue the discussion. We're working hard in the background. Doesn't always seem like it, but we do work very hard here. I just want to once again just thank the artists of our community that came forward, you know, and the hard work that the PRCC did. This is going to be another discussion we're going to talk about for a while. It's a big thing for our town. The discussion started years ago about this project, and it's finally gotten here. We have a new art display in the library this year from another local artist, so I've taken advantage to look at it. We're trying to do annual art expos there. So we're trying to get the artist community up and supported in a way where the town can directly benefit from it by using it within our facilities. That's all I have tonight. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Lombardo.
Sorry. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for coming and your comments and staying so late. I do appreciate your enthusiasm, and it is important that we hear from you in order to take actions that are appropriate. Please understand it may take a little time to gather all the information that's necessary for us to have a better understanding of the situation, but I do appreciate you bringing it to our attention that there was something that needed to be looked into. I'm a firm believer in, having things clearly stated and out in the open. I think it's important for all of us to be able to find the answers to things that are important to us. And it's obvious that this is a situation that you want to be resolved, and I'm in favor of looking into it to find out what is happening and how we can do better, because we can always do better. I attended a function on Monday with Debbie Bridenstine from the HR department here, and we went down and learned some more about the Find a Food program, which is in our area and supplies food to those with food insecurity. It was quite an eye-opener for me. I knew a little bit about it because they have a distribution point at Copper Mountain Community College where my wife is involved, and I've heard about some of the things going on there. And it's a very worthwhile nonprofit that provides food to those that don't know where their next meal is coming from. And it's absolutely amazing how much food they provide to our community, our area, and it's such a large place. They're always looking for volunteers, so if you have the heart to do that, it's Find Food, and they're a great organization. I also attended the, what do they call it, the Desert Mountain Division of League of Cities with several of my compadres, and we had a great drive out there to Victorville. And oh my God, they have such a beautiful town hall. I mean, it's like a palace. And then I looked at what their annual budget is, and it's like $330 million a year. So they're definitely out of our league, but it was very impressive. We had a good time. It's a place where we gather together as elected officials from various towns to try to solve problems that are communal, common among us. And the Western Joshua Tree was discussed there. And It is a problem for other communities as well, but not surprisingly, it affects Yucca Valley and Apple Valley and Victorville, maybe more, and Adelanto, right?
Yeah, and Palmdale.
And Palmdale. There's a few cities, they all seem to be in the Desert Mountain League of Cities kind of thing. And it's a problem that's kind of specific to a small area and obviously is not getting the right attention in the larger state affairs. But we're working on it. And that's about all I have to say. The weather is too cold for me. I was enjoying it down in Palm Desert where Debbie and I went for this one conference. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Schooler.
Sure, I'd like to start with a quick shout out to the Flying Doctors who came into town 2 weekends ago and took over the gymnasium up at Yucca Valley High School and provided free dental services and vision services to anyone that showed up that needed it. And they had something like 25 or 30 dental chairs set up with dentists and dental students that took care of, I think they said, close to 300 people over the weekend. So it's something they've done in this area before over at the college. This time it was at Yucca Valley High School. They make eyeglasses on the spot for people. It's really a pretty cool thing that took place in our town. I also noticed that weekend that at Yucca Valley High School there was a swap meet taking place. Has the SkyDrive-In swap meet been relocated? So it's like every weekend or
There had been a couple individuals that had been talking with town staff about locations they had indicated, and they are from the former drive-in movie theater swap meet, that they were going to reach out to the school district. It's our understanding they have an agreement with the school district, and it is every weekend.
Well, then I salute the school district for being willing to open up their campus for those kinds of things. And then I would just like to echo my fellow council members on trying to be available. And if people have an issue, we do like to hear about it. And feel free, my number is all over the place too. If not, get it from the town clerk. But we are anxious to hear from you, so thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I got a text message from Pastor Daniel Hanna apologizing for missing the invocation tonight. He had missed the email stating our new start time, so he was assuming it was a 6 o'clock start time, so he missed it. My meeting schedule this month on 3/11, the town council had a great tour put on by the staff for the Yucca Valley Arc. Great to see that moving forward. Very great explanation of how we're working forward and how we're staying real close to our timeline. So that was a great meeting. On 3/11, I attended the Planning Commission, and I appreciate Planning Commission with all their work, navigating all the different projects that are heading to Yucca Valley and those that are wanting to make improvements. On the 12th, I attended the Builders and Realtors meeting here at Town Hall. Shane does a great job preparing for that, answering questions. On 3/14, I also attended that Desert Mountain Division meeting with Councilmember Schooler and Lombardo. Jason Ryan did a presentation from the director. He's the director of the League of California Cities. And he had told us about two very important bills that affect Yucca Valley that we should be looking into. One is Senate Bill 346, which deals with short-term rentals, making it easier to enforce the short-term rental business audit platforms for more detailed TOT tax information to make sure cities and municipalities are getting their fair share of those TOT tax dollars, and identifying those Airbnb businesses with APN numbers and also business license requirements. So if a city or a town requires a business license to be pulled, they could have that associated with that. So Senate Bill 346 is something we should look into. Also, perhaps looking into AB 846, which is the fire cleanup bill. Again, it was talking about because of the wildfires, it's a bill that was passed by both houses in California, went to the governor, he vetoed it. And then we had these big fires, and then we saw the destruction. And now the same exact bill with a different number is going back through the process, and we'll probably go to the governor, and we're probably expected, because of the political climate's change, that he might sign that bill. So it'd be something I think we should look into for Yucca Valley, because it will affect our residents. On 3/17, I met with the Basin Transit Manager. I discussed ridership and also the need for 2 bus stop improvements in Yucca Valley. We have a bus stop by Carl's Jr. right on the highway, and there's another one on the opposite side of the highway towards Old Town that does not have Caltrans pullouts. And the Basin Transit has had a couple side-swiping accidents there, so they're looking at trying to get a grant or some monies to be able to do some pullouts there. So I was able to talk to the transit manager about those improvements and the need in Yucca Valley for safe bus pickup. On 3/18, that was today earlier, I was attending the Community Service Guiding Coalition meeting that went all the way up to town council time, so I had to jump off the meeting to get here. But that's about community schools and helping bring money into the Morongo Unified School District and helping our local schools, specifically Yucca Valley and 29 Palms High School, as well as Oasis, to bring in programming to keep kids in school, to get better graduation rates, to have more parent involvement, all those wonderful things. Upcoming meetings on 3/27, Maintain Road Subcommittee meeting with Councilmember Dennison and staff. I encourage you, if you have any questions or concerns about road maintenance, dirt roads, regular road maintenance and so forth, make sure you reach out to Councilmember Dennison, let him know so he can bring that to the meeting. On 3/28, I will be attending a meeting with Mayor Drodes for the Basin Transit. And on 3/27, 3/28, I'm going to be heading to Burbank for the Community Service Policy Committee meeting. 3/29, I get the privilege of being able to welcome runners and participants to the Healthy Hearts event. And 3/31, I'll be meeting in Victorville for the Mojave Desert Air Quality meeting.
Thank you. I just want to say that, first of all, I'm glad the public was here, and I'm glad the issue of the animal shelter was brought up originally. But I'm the kind of person that's waiting for whatever we discover. So, but I am an animal lover. I've said this many times. I've been to Best Friends in Kanab, Utah. They helped us with the assembly bill that we fought for to stop abusive greyhound blood donations where they're kept in small cages for 5 years. They helped us with that a lot. They helped us stop greyhound racing in much of the United States. And we spent 3 days at Kanab twice. And we got to go to their sanctuary. We got to go what they call a grotto and hear presentations about greyhounds. We were there with our 3 greyhounds and our standard poodle. So I'm familiar with them, and I think they probably can give good advice. And I've been on the phone with local veterinarians, and I might have a volunteer to maybe help the town out with this person's opinion. I don't want to say the person's name. But anyway, so we might have a local veterinarian that will volunteer. I've rescued animals all my life, from donkeys to horses to tortoises, goats, and greyhounds, and everything under the sun. So that's about it, and I hate to go over that over and over again, but I'm an animal lover, and it makes me sick to see any dog euthanized. But unfortunately, there are so many, this isn't an excuse, but there are so many bad owners out there that let their dogs run. So anyway, thank you very much for being here. And our upcoming meeting schedule, the next regular meeting of the Yucca Valley Town Council will be held on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 5 p.m. Oh, we are? Oh, next week? Oh. And the Town Council will meet in closed session pursuant to the provision of Government Code Section 54957B regarding a public employee performance evaluation titled Town Manager. The Town Council will meet in closed session to hold a conference with its labor negotiator regarding unprecedented employee pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, Agency Representative Mayor Drozd, unrepresented employee, town manager. Any reportable action will be announced in the town hall lobby immediately after the meeting. So meeting adjourned.